Hello there, my fellow DC fans. Good afternoon, good night, good morning, possibly, depending on where you are in the world. Today, in about 30 minutes, is the Warner Brothers panel at CinemaCon. Now, it's in the pinned comment. All right, yeah, it's in the pinned chat message. It's in the description, and I will be saying this multiple times throughout today's stream. Do not expect anything big here. I cannot stress that enough. Do not expect anything big here for multiple reasons. One, CinemaCon is not a convention that's open to the public. Most, if not all, of the footage, etc., that is shown at this panel will only be shown to people in attendance. Now, it's not impossible that we get, say, a trailer for a teaser for Clayface publicly. Since we're about 6 months away from the movie releasing, it's not out of the question to align the release of the trailer with this. But I wouldn't expect any new movie announcements. I wouldn't expect any trailers, for the Batman and Man of Tomorrow, obviously, because they haven't started filming yet. And Supergirl footage will likely just be shown to people in attendance because there's not really much need to release any more footage right now to the public with Supergirl. So yeah, do not expect anything big here. I am only doing this live. I usually don't do anything for CinemaCon for that exact reason, because CinemaCon usually isn't some massive convention with massive announcements and whatnot. But I'm doing this today, and I'm also doing one for the Disney panel on Thursday because I want to, because one, just in case anything happens, with Clayface or whatever today and Doomsday on Thursday, but also because I just want a little bit more momentum on this channel moving forward. Because I hope to plan to start uploading videos consistently soon, within the next couple months. So I want to just slowly build some momentum for that. I want to be very transparent about why I'm doing these live streams, and please do not expect anything. I might be tinkering in the background, trying to toy with and experiment with streaming a typical live stream like this, and doing like a YouTube Shorts vertical live stream. So if I go like silent for a couple minutes or a couple seconds or whatever, that might be why, because I'm just trying to do something in the background. But yeah, I hope you guys are all having a good day. Hope you guys have been having a good week. And I go live. Any of you tuning in that might be new here, I go live typically about 30 minutes to an hour early before these panels. That way people have some time to tune in and find the stream if they're interested in watching it, and also just for us to chat and chill and hang out. And one more thing that I will also be saying multiple times throughout the live stream. So I was paying attention yesterday to how quick live news was coming out and live tweets and coverage was coming out from the Sony panel. It seemed like once the panel started at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, it took about like 20 minutes for people to start posting stuff on Twitter, which is what I'll be using to cover the live, the live tweets and whatever. It took about 20 minutes, it looked like, 20 to 30 minutes for the people in attendance to start live tweeting the news and stuff. So once this timer goes on, 25 minutes, once the panel actually starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, it still might take another 20 to 30 minutes before any sort of news or whatever comes out from CinemaCon. So try to make that clear to everybody as well. But anyway, let's chill, let's hang, let's chat about stuff as we wait. Lonely Ludi, what's going on? Nice to have you. Thanks for tuning in. Says, I'm here to see what Warner Brothers announced. Movies, animation, and live action. Yeah, actually, that's a good point I should clarify as well. Since it is called CinemaCon, there will not be, as far as I can tell, anything related to television. So nothing for Lanterns, nothing for the Mr. Miracle show, for possible Checkmate show, or anything on that side of things. Do not expect here, because this is just purely CinemaCon. I'm also not expecting anything major, like I said, in terms of announcements for new movies, because there's a CinemaCon every year around this time. So there's no real reason to announce stuff that's coming out like late next year or 2028, whatnot. It really only makes sense to focus on movies coming out within the next 12 months. So for DC, that's Supergirl and Clayface, and possibly projects that are going into production within the next 12 months. So Man of Tomorrow and The Batman being the two big ones going into production within the next couple weeks. Now, I should mention that as well. I don't want to get my hopes up or anybody else's hopes up. However, I do want to mention, just for discussion's sake, that earlier today, Adria Arjona, I butchered her last name, I apologize, but she played Bix in Andor most notably, has been cast in Man of Tomorrow. Now, James Gunn typically comes out and confirms these casting announcements fairly quickly after they are announced through the trades like this. And as far as I can tell, James Gunn has not done anything like that. He has not mentioned anything about this yet. So the character that she is rumored to be cast as is Maxima. There have been rumors for a few months now about this character Maxima being in Man of Tomorrow. And she'd be a great Maxima. She'd be fine as Maxima. It wouldn't be a huge deal if she was playing Maxima. That's pretty cool. However, in the past week or so, there has been a report, a rumor is the better term, a rumor, and take that with a grain of salt, that Maxima is actually just a cover name, a code name for Wonder Woman. Now, this isn't out of the ordinary for James Gunn for his DC movies. I wasn't aware of this, but I was looking through stuff today. Apparently, for Superman, he used the code names of the Authority characters when casting the Justice Gang characters and auditioning people for the Justice Gang. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for James Gunn to do something like this. Also because rumor is that this Maxima character is not going to have a massive part in this movie and will only have a role similar to Supergirl in Superman. Supergirl and Superman had one scene towards the very end. We know that a Wonder Woman movie is being written. Possibly, if everything goes well, it could start shooting sometime next year for a 2028 release. It wouldn't be out of the question or out of the ordinary for Wonder Woman to be in this movie in a small capacity to help build hype and set up her movie for the following year, just like Superman did. Especially because this isn't a Superman movie either. People are saying, well, maybe it doesn't make sense that, they'd be introducing Wonder Woman in the Superman movie, or that's too packed, it's too crowded of a movie. Well, James Gunn has pretty much said that he doesn't consider this a Superman movie. It's not a Superman sequel. It's Man of Tomorrow. It is what it is. It is whatever the movie is. And with a villain as big as Brainiac, I don't think it's crazy that if Wonder Woman is around in this world that she would just sit idly by as Brainiac does whatever. We don't know the plot, but she sits idly by. Or it's not out of the question or crazy to think that she might be a part of Brainiac's collection. I have a theory, not really based on anything, just kind of this would be cool, that Martian Manhunter could also be a part of Brainiac's sort of, collection. So it wouldn't be crazy for Wonder Woman to be in this movie. It actually would make a little bit of sense. And I would love if she played Wonder Woman. I have been a huge fan of her ever since the first season of Andor. I think she's a wonderful talent, and she's been my Wonder Woman fan cast. One of my two Wonder Woman fan casts. Her and, I'm forgetting the actress's name, but the actress who played the main female lead in the Moon Knight TV show. They've been my two Wonder Woman fan casts since I saw them in Andor and in Moon Knight, respectively. So I would love it if she is Wonder Woman, but I wouldn't mind also she's just Maxima. That's fine as well. That's pretty cool as well. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I think it's interesting. And since that news broke earlier today, and the Warner Brothers panel is later today, and James Gunn hasn't mentioned anything about it yet, there's a non-zero, and I'm going to say that very specifically, there's a non-zero chance that casting is officially confirmed today, and they announce her as Wonder Woman. However, if they want to try to keep Wonder Woman a secret in this movie, then, they might continue to use the codename Maxima. But depending on the role that she has, maybe set leaks would happen with her in costume or her on set, so they might want to get ahead of things today. So we'll see. I mean, that's a straight up, we'll see what happens. I just thought it was interesting to bring up. Sony went hard yesterday. Bloodborne and Helldivers are the MVP. Hey, look, I don't think Sony disappointed yesterday. However, the amount that Sony talked about yesterday and released yesterday, for a lot of people in these live streams over the years, is not enough. So that's why I like to, I'm going to say multiple times, do not expect a lot from this live stream and from this panel, because I don't want people to go into this being disappointed. I think I expect pretty much as much as Sony did yesterday at their panel here. And I'd be okay with that, because like I said, I'm not expecting much. This is not a panel for the public. This is not a panel for the fans. It's a panel for producers, for movie theater owners, for journalists, for social media influencers. It's not a convention, a panel for the general public. So if we get anything, I mean, that's cool by me, right? Like, at most, I'm expecting a Clayface trailer, but even that, I'm not expecting. I think that's at most what we get. What's up, Shin Ultimate? Thanks for tuning in, man. Nice to have you here. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Steve, what's going on? Nice to have you here as well. Clayface trailer. I think that's not unlikely. That's not unlikely considering how far we are, or how close, maybe I should say, to the movie. It's about 6 months away. They finished filming a while ago, and it's more of a low-budget kind of body horror movie, so even though it is a Clayface movie, you know, there probably isn't too much CGI, relatively speaking, you know, in comparison to a movie like Superman, right? Or Supergirl. Relatively speaking, there probably isn't as much VFX, so it wouldn't be crazy for there to be a Clayface trailer today. I expect at least one piece of promotional material from Amanda tomorrow. Honestly, I don't know if I'm expecting that at all. I think what I'm really expecting from Amanda tomorrow is just James Gunn or whoever is there to say, everything's going good. We're shooting in a couple weeks. We're shooting in a couple weeks. Honestly, I really think that's it. James Gunn on social media the other day was asked if there's any other characters that for Man of Tomorrow that haven't been officially announced yet, casting wise, and he said all of the main characters except for one have been cast and announced. Possibly that other one was Adria Arjona today. And maybe he confirms her casting, maybe not. We'll see. What's up, Noel Gonzalez? Nice to have you here, man. Thanks for tuning in. Says the Batman Part 2 title casting. I think Batman Part 2 is just called Batman Part 2. Straight up. I don't think it's called anything else. And we have all the other cast. Well, we have the actors cast. I don't think any of their roles have been explicitly confirmed by Matt Reeves or James Gunn. So maybe, actually, maybe we could get confirmation that Sebastian Stan is playing Harvey Dent. Some confirmation maybe on who Scarlett Johansson is playing. Maybe some news on who is playing Christopher Dent. Who there's been a lot of actors that have been rumored that they've approached. That is possible. Some casting confirmation for the Batman 2 is not unlikely either. But I think the Batman Part 2 is just called Batman Part 2. Straight up. Adria Arjona might be playing Wonder Woman. I would love that. I would be over the moon ecstatic if that's the case. But we'll see. That is not confirmed. That's just speculation at this point. I think a safe bet is to assume that she is playing Maxima, and then if she ends up playing Wonder Woman, that's a nice surprise. But I wouldn't go into this movie or go into that casting expecting her to be Wonder Woman, because then if she's not Wonder Woman, then you'll be disappointed, you know. So I'd expect and assume that she is playing Maxima until proven otherwise. Adria Arjona is Wonder Woman. Yeah, same thing. Like I would love if she's Wonder Woman. I think she'd be a absolutely terrific Wonder Woman. But I wouldn't expect it until it's confirmed. You know, like I'd assume, I'd go under the assumption that she is Maxima until proven otherwise. David Cargill, what's going on, man? Nice to have you. Thanks for tuning in. Says, predictions for Daredevil Born Again episode today. Predictions. Well, we'll probably see some of the fallout from the end of last episode. I won't say specifics in case people haven't seen it yet. Might see some fallouts on that. There is a rumor of a flashback episode this season. And if there is a flashback episode this season, it's not unlikely to be this episode. This would be like prime candidate for a flashback episode with what happened at the end of last episode, and now moving into episode 5 today, we're about to be in the second half of the season. So possibly that flashback. I mean, we saw Foggy in trailers. We saw Wesley in trailers. So We know that there will be at least 2 flashback scenes in this season, possibly today. I think it's not out of the question either that Jessica Jones shows up at the end. We'll see. This stream will go into when the episode is released, so I ask no spoilers for Daredevil season 2, Born Again episode 5 today. Season 2 episode today. I'll be doing a live stream likely on Saturday to discuss that episode. Caleb Williams, what's going on, man? Nice to have you this again. Says, do you think the Beyonder is going to be in Avengers Secret Wars? I don't, because I don't think the Beyonder is going to be necessary. Well, let me also just look up who the Beyonder is, just to make sure. The Beyonder, yeah. So I think the Beyonder is just going to be replaced by a different character in the story. But also, introducing a new character like that just for one movie feels unnecessary, especially for what Doomsday and Secret Wars are. I'm going to go into this a little more in my first video back that I'm in the middle of making right now. But Doomsday and Secret Wars, while they're going to serve as great stories on their own, the point of these 2 movies are 2 things. One, to win the audience back, to win the trust of the audience back. And 2, and sort of going hand in hand with that, do so in a way that honors and pays homage to the last 20, 30 years of Marvel movies. A lot of Secret Wars, I'm guessing, is going to be fan service, and that's okay. That's the point. The Beyonder doesn't really serve that purpose in any way. And I just think, like Shin says here, I think they're going to be replacing the Beyonder with Loki. Or, maybe Loki and Franklin and Sentry might all, serve some purpose. But I just don't see the reason to have Beyonder in Secret Wars. Elijah, what's going on? It's Harry. Thanks for tuning in. Says not David. Godzilla times Kong Supernova teaser, maybe? It's possible. When does that come out? That might be for people in attendance. A lot of the footage today will be for people in attendance. It releases in March next year. I don't think we get that to the public. Yeah, I don't think that's released to the public. I think that if anything, that's shown to just the people in attendance, not us. Don't expect any footage released to the public today from this panel. Will, what's going on? Nice everything tuning in. Says, do you think they will wear wigs? I think some of them might wear wigs. If Elijah Wood is there, probably, because I've heard through the grapevine that he does wear wigs. So we'll have to be on the lookout for that. Fisher Jacob Pacewells, thank you. Nina Savier says, do you think that James Gunn's DC Universe can outdo Marvel or the MCU? Oh, I mean, that's an interesting question. I'm going to kind of take a non-answer to your question, but I will still try to... I'm still going to answer your question, but I'm going to answer in a way that you probably... It's not a straight yes or no. We follow up by saying the MCU worked for 10 years, the DCU didn't work for 10 years. But now the tables have turned. DC seems to work now thanks to James Gunn, but Marvel flopped hard with their multiverse saga. Does what I'm asking make sense? It totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. So, I think that we're about to enter the golden age of DC movies and shows. Without question. Under James Gunn. It's hard to say if we're about to enter the golden age of Marvel movies and shows. It's hard to say that just purely because, of those first 3 phases of the multiverse saga were so great, but they also weren't perfect. And you're right. Phases 4 and 5, while I like the majority of projects in those phases, overall, they weren't received as well as, the first 3 phases. However, in the past 1.5 to 2 years, the MCU has really come back into form, I would argue, better for the most part than those first 3 phases of the MCU. Not, literally like Deadpool, Wolverine, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four are not better than like Infinity War, Endgame, Civil War, Winter Soldier, etc. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, well, in certain ways they might be, like visually, but etc. Whatever. my point is, the past year and a half to 2 years of the MCU, they're really getting back into form, and I think the rest of this year is just going to prove that even more. So going into a post-Secret Wars MCU, along with the DCU, I don't think it's about the DCU outdoing Marvel or Marvel outdoing DC. I think we might be just entering a world that I didn't think was possible. We might be entering a world where DC and Marvel might be looked on fairly similarly, for the better. For years, I was of the opinion that I never want a live-action DC and Marvel crossover because, you know, or DC versus Marvel, whatever, because to do that properly, you would have to have Marvel and DC be looked upon the same by the general public. And that just didn't seem feasible at the time. But now with how things are looking, I mean, it's still very, very, very early days of the DCU, right? It's very, very early days. But how it's looking right now, it's not impossible that that's the case. So I am going to not answer your question by still answering it and say that I don't think that's going to be how people should, and myself especially, look at DCU and the MCU moving forward. For me, I'm just looking at them both in the sense of, are they putting out quality movies and shows more than they're not? And are these movies and shows doing the characters justice? And so far with the DCU, that answer has been yes. Now, it's quite literally been 3 projects, but, you know, the answer has been yes so far, and it looks like the answer will continue to be yes. And the past year and a half to 2 years of the MCU, that, for the most part, the answer has also been yes, and it looks like for the rest of this year, that answer will continue to be yes. So, not a straight yes or no answer to your question, so I apologize about that, but it's still an optimistic answer, because I think we're about to enter kind of an unprecedented era for the fandom, that both of these universes might actually be good at the same time, which is great for everyone. Even if you're not a fan of Marvel or not a fan of DC and you're just a fan of one, the other universe, the other franchise doing well is good for your franchise, because all that does is push your franchise to push themselves to be better. Okay, give me 1 second here. I am just going to make sure I have everything set up for the live coverage. Apologies. Let's see. Why does that not work? But yeah, it is an exciting time for... It is an exciting time to be a fan of both DC and Marvel. Apologies, what I had before is not set up, so I just had to reset everything up real quick. Omega Vince Yaps, what's going on, man? It's everything shooting in. Says, what if Nightwing is secretly cast for Man of Tomorrow because he appears in Panic in the Sky? I don't think so. As much as I am excited to see Nightwing in the DCU, and as much as I think he will be in the DCU eventually, and relatively soon, I think we'll first see Nightwing in Brave and the Bold. Just because James Gunn might be taking some inspiration from Panic in the Sky doesn't mean that he's adapting it one-to-one. It's not impossible, but I feel like a character like Nightwing, if they're casting Nightwing, it would leak. It would leak. because that is a character that a lot of people want to see. You know, that's a lot of people's favorite DC character, one of their favorite DC characters. So that would leak, I feel. All right. This work. Okay, that worked. See if this works. Log in. So as people are coming in here, as we're getting closer to the panel starting, I want to just reiterate what I said at the start of the live stream, which is two things. One, do not expect a lot from this live stream. Oh, I put in the wrong password. One second. There we go. Do not expect a lot from this panel. This panel, CinemaCon, this convention, is not open to the public. So what that means is most of what happens here is just for people in attendance, but it also means that nothing big is typically announced at CinemaCon. So go into this with as little expectation as possible. At the very most, maybe we get a trailer for Clayface, but even that, I'm not holding my breath. And that's okay. So go in with very, very low expectations. The other thing that I want to say before the panel starts is that I was looking yesterday, just kind of paying attention to the Sony panel. Sony had their CinemaCon panel yesterday, and once the panel started, it took about 20 to 30 minutes for the people in attendance to start live tweeting and you know, yeah, live tweeting the panel. So once the panel starts, it might still take a little bit for everything to get going in terms of news, but we'll still be here chatting as we wait. Yeah, let me just do this. It is not working the way it used to, but we'll be fine. Since they're changing Hulk back to Savage Hulk, you think they would change Scar when we see him again, potentially in Secret Wars? Probably, at least design-wise, probably. I don't think it necessarily is because they're changing him back to Savage Hulk. I think it's just it could just be the fact that. Why is that not working? We might have to go the old-fashioned route of just constantly refreshing ourselves, which is fine. But yeah, I think they could simply have just, oh, never mind, it is working. They could simply just, you know, change them up, retcon, whatever, because of Secret Wars and just because they want to. I don't think it has anything to do, honestly, with them changing Hulk back to Savage Hulk. Okay. Let me switch around my setup a little bit as we are going into the panel starting. Everything, thankfully, wanted to work. But also, I mentioned this as well at the beginning of the stream for people that are just tuning in there. It's not out of the question that we get something DC, some interesting DC stuff here. We had the news today from, I think it was, well, just the trades in general, I guess, you know, that I think the color is now look off, of course. That Adria Arjona from Andor, she played Bix in Andor, and obviously other roles as well, but most notably Bix in Andor, has been cast in Man of Tomorrow. Now, rumors are that she has auditioned for the character of Maxima. However, there have been other rumors recently that suggest the name Maxima was just a code name for Wonder Woman. Now, if that is the case, I do not expect it to be announced here, but it's not possible that it's announced here, because especially because that news happened today, and typically James Gunn likes to confirm officially on his social media when casting like this happens, and he hasn't yet. Okay, I apologize. I know there's still a lot of chats that I haven't gotten to yet. It's just not right now set up the way that it typically is, so I just got to go in and fix everything. A little bit of technical difficulties, but it'll be good to go in just a second here. Bear with me. We're not missing anything, I promise you. Nothing has been live tweeted or reported yet. So no need to worry about that. You're not missing anything right now. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. This is gonna be W. Great. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing, but just trust that it's working the way it's supposed to. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. So if you guys, sometimes you guys help me out with this, and if you guys know of any other accounts on Twitter that are live tweeting the panel, let me know. I'll pull them up. Right now we just have Discussing Film, which is fine. But I will also be looking for other ones as well. And yeah, I'll pull them up as I can transition over here. I'll pull them up as we have them. And then I need to just put the audio here. Fantastic. I'm just going to do a quick test of the audio. We're not going to actually watch this, but we're just going to do a test of the audio. Let me know if you guys can hear this when I play it. Okay. Did you guys hear that? There's a bit of a delay on my stream, so wait for you guys to say in the chat if you can hear that or not. Yes. Sweet. All right. Yeah. So I know that the alignment, the framing here, terrible. But like I said, I only know of this one account right now. That says they'll be live tweeting major reveals and whatnot. Like I said, if you guys know of any more, let me know, and I will add them here. But as we wait for this, and this also automatically refreshes. So sometimes people ask, refresh the page. It does it on its own, which is so great about this setup. So no need to get worried. It's just, like I said, it's going to take a little bit, most likely, for the news to get going based off of the Sony panel yesterday and how long it took for that panel and that news to be live tweeted. But while we wait, let's catch up on the chat a little bit. When will they wear wigs? Always. They always wear wigs. The entire time, they'll be varying Vigs. So no Molecule Man for Battleworld as he was Doom's secret weapon in the comics? Probably not. Probably not. That, honestly, I could see that being Franklin Richards. Just an aged up Franklin Richards, perhaps. Mortal Kombat 3 teaser, can't wait for Mortal Kombat 2. I highly doubt it. Mortal Kombat 2 is not out yet. They don't know how much money Mortal Kombat 2 will make, and that'll be what that's what Mortal Kombat 3 depends on. How much money Mortal Kombat 2 makes. I think Molecule Man, also, hello, Thomas Ben, nice to have you tuning in, says, I think Molecule Man will be replaced by the anchor beings in Avengers Doomsday if they adapt that version of Secret Wars. Yeah, I haven't read either version of Secret Wars in the comics, so I don't know the specifics, but yeah, they never do one-to-one adaptations of the comic storylines for these movies, so I'm not expecting, these characters that haven't been set up yet, Molecule Man and Beyonder, to be in Doomsday and Secret Wars. What's up, Franco? Very nice to have you. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome. I'm worried that with the Lantern drama, that Gunn might be giving other creatives too much freedom to do whatever they want with their projects, kind of disregarding the faithfulness his projects do. I wouldn't get overly upset about that yet. I'm with people in the sense that I am disappointed in the fact that the first trailer for a Green Lantern TV show had no green and no constructs whatsoever. That being said, it doesn't mean there won't be. We know Sinestro is in this show. So that alone makes me believe and suspect that we're going to be seeing possibly flashbacks to the early days of Hal Jordan's Green Lantern, other Lantern Corps members, space, other Lantern Corps. So I think the drama has been blown out of proportion immensely. I think the start of the criticism is warranted. I think it's okay to be, this is nothing that we need to look at. Even though I think it's good that they're spotlighting indie cinemas, just to avoid any sort of copyright for the stream. I'm not going to play that, just so we are able to still be live if the trailer for Clayface does drop. But as what I was saying, I think the basis for the drama and the criticisms that people are disappointed in the fact that the first trailer for a Lantern TV show doesn't really have any green or contracts or whatnot, I think that's warranted. But also understand, it is just a teaser trailer for a show that doesn't come out until, August, right? So there's time. And a lot of the CGI probably isn't finished, so they most likely just didn't want to release any footage of CGI that isn't finished, so it's not scrutinized online. And also, they want the first look for this show to appeal to normies, to people that might not be interested in some massive cosmic CGI story, to get them interested so they watch, and then ease them into the more cosmic side of Green Lantern, so that when we do see, possibly Kilowog, maybe Atrocitus, maybe the Guardians, maybe even Chip, right? These normies aren't turned off by it. So I really wouldn't get concerned just yet. Let's let Lanterns release first to see if it really is disregarding faithfulness to the comics. Let's give it some time. Let's not overreact just yet. Hollywood Handle, thank you. I will add them right now. Add column. User. Hollywood Handle. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jacob. All right, now we have two panels. But yeah, like I said, it's still probably a little bit until any sort of news actually drops here. When will the MCU introduce Richard Clark? I hope never. I hate that guy. Just the thought of him. What's your thoughts about James Gunn and Kevin Feige making a DC Marvel crossover? Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me maybe 3 years ago, I would have said I'd be against it. And my answer might change in the next 3 years or so, depending on how both universes kind of play out. But, right now, I would say that I'm not opposed to it. It's not a project that I necessarily want to see or am itching to see, but I'm not opposed to it. As long as it's not like a DC versus Marvel or an Avengers versus Justice League, I don't think that movie would ever work because, like I said, like no matter what, that's going to anger fans. For whoever wins or doesn't win, or if it ends in a draw, like no matter what, you're not winning that scenario. But if it's just like a crossover, kind of like what the comics are doing right now, where we see like Superman and Spider-Man crossover, Batman, I wouldn't want Batman and Deadpool, but Batman, you know, and etc. crossover, Aquaman and Jeff, right, Supergirl and Blade, like not those specific crossovers, but something to that extent. I think it's pretty cool, actually. I think there was a report, a rumor that James Gunn considered a Deadpool cameo in the finale of Peacemaker with the multiverse stuff, and I'd be on board for that. That'd be pretty funny. So something along those lines, I wouldn't be opposed to. Mortal Kombat 3 footage, fingers crossed. No, they haven't even started writing that, let alone it's not filmed. It's not greenlit, not written, not filmed. There is zero chance for that footage here. I think after the MCU soft reboot, they should focus on better CGI and storytelling than A-listers, and that's what's already happening. As we see with this past year or so. Now, yes, the Fantastic Four, those were like A-list stars, but for the Fantastic Four, that makes sense. And I think for the X-Men and the Mutants, we'll probably get A, B-list actors playing those, well-known actors playing those characters, and I think that's okay. But in terms of what you were saying before, better CGI and storytelling, that is already happening. The big reason why that... Wait, this is just my home, not discussing film. Let me switch this to discussing film. I just noticed that right now. But the main reason why the storytelling and the CGI might not have been the best before was just of the rushed production schedule of everything, and then making so many projects all at once, which was not something Feige actually wanted. That was a mandate by the old head of Disney, Bob Chapek, to kind of just churn out this content without any sort of caution about quality, and also COVID. Those two things combined. Over the past couple of years, as the effects of both of those circumstances are no longer impacting the MCU, we're getting projects like Agatha All Along, like X-97, like Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, like I thought Marvel Zombies was pretty solid, like Wonder Man, like Thunderbolts, like Fantastic Four, like Daredevil Born Again, and later this year, you know, like season 2 is of stuff, and like later this year, like Vision Quest, like Avengers Doomsday, you know, which visually speaking looks like it could be definitely the best Russo Brothers MCU movie visually speaking, but might even be just the best MCU movie visually speaking. Marvel is now in a place where it can take their time again and not have to just rush out content and movies. I mean, the fact that we still don't have an X-Men movie slated, I think proves that. They're probably casting the X-Men right now purely because the new X-Men team and cast, I would say, likely appears at the end of Secret Wars, and Secret Wars starts filming this year. But we just got the writers announced for X-Men, which means that they were probably hired a couple months ago. But even so, they're probably only a few months into writing this script. You're not going to film the first draft, right? You're going to want to edit it a little bit, and then it takes pre-production and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, we're already in that phase, and I think it's only going to get more evident as the MCU continues. What was the point of the title for DC movies like the DCU Elseworld versus James Gunn's DCU? I think I can very much remember DC better than the other two. It was just what people called it. So the DCEU, they called it the DC Extended Universe. There's a lot of different sort of universes and timelines or whatever with DC. Like you have the DC Animated Universe, which is the TV animated universe with Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited. Then you had the DC Animated Movie Universe, which is the animated movie universe. Then you had the DCEU, make sure to specify that that was its own continuity. And then Elseworld is just anything that's kind of in its own contained timeline. So the Nolan trilogy or the Batman, or like the older movies, and now the DCU is what the new mainline DC continuity is. So do you think Sony will fix their quote-unquote spunk universe, aka Spider-Man and Universe Spider-Man, despite their Sinister Six plan being the villains, trade a kid, Peter Parker, to be a superhero? Fix? Probably not. The two scenarios that I think would happen is, one, after Secret Wars, they start up their own universe again and use Miles or a different spider-related character as their main spider person, which I think would probably not be good. Or, and this is the less likely of the two, just because Sony makes less money from this, or they say, all right, Marvel, MCU, Kevin Feige, help us with these movies, at least in consulting. We're going to take majority of the money, but you can have Spider-Man appear in anything, and any of the Spider-Man characters appear in anything, and these movies will be in the MCU, and we'll work with you to make sure that it all fits. I think that's the less likely of the two scenarios. However, I think it's the one that I want more, obviously. But like I said, the less likely of the two. I think it's more likely that they'll just, once again, start their own universe with Miles as the main Spider-Man after Beyond the Spider-Verse has released and is all done. Which I think is not going to be great. I'm not looking forward to that. But over here, Patton Oswalt is on stage to begin the panel. So the panel has officially begun. Would you like to see a Sinister Six movie be about the villains babysitting Peter Parker to be a hero only from the turn against them because they're villains? No, I don't want a Sinister Six movie, period, but that doesn't make sense to me. The Sinister Six are Spider-Man villains. They're not the Sinister Six then without Spider-Man being their nemesis or whatever. Nah, I don't think that sounds cool at all. You ever be boldly and do a live-action TMNT crossover with DC Universe? I would love that. I would love a live-action DC crossover with TMNT or Ben 10. Like, honestly, like, hot take, perhaps. Ready for a hot take? Hot take. I think you just fold Ben 10 in with DC. I think that's a hot take. I understand. But at this point, I think that'd be super cool. But I would also love a live-action TMNT crossover. For sure. That would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Minecraft 2 news or updates. All we've gotten for this movie so far is a poster announcement. It's releasing July next year. Is that Warner Brothers? Let me see. Minecraft movie 2 is... Yeah, it is Warner Brothers. I did not realize that. It's possible. It's possible. You said yeah, I mean, it's possible because it's going to start filming this year if it releases in July next year. It's not out of the question. It's not out of the question at all. What's up, Flavia? Nice to have you. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a good day. New Rockstars is there? Yes, thank you. I'm not a huge fan of New Rockstars, to be honest. And I think they're also doing their own live stream similar to this. So to avoid any sort of anything, I'm not going to pull up New Rockstars, but thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. We did get news for Beyond the Spider-Verse on the Sony panel. That is true. That is true. It was just a few images. But you're not wrong. 3 years ago on the first stream I ever caught, I asked the same question about the DC Marvel crossover, so you're right about the change in attitude. Yeah, no, it is a total change in attitude. And that is just due to the fact that Creature Commandos was well received, and Superman was not only amazing, but really well received. Same with Peacemaker Season 2. So the general attitude towards DC has totally changed in a way that I was not expecting. And I'm happy. I am very happy with the change in attitude. Yeah, we'll probably have something with Supergirl here. I don't think we'll get any footage to the public for Supergirl, but in terms of, will there be, will people in attendance see Supergirl stuff? Most likely, yeah. That's their big movie coming out in the next month, right? That's a June release. So yeah, it's 2 months. 2 months. Yeah, they'll probably see something in attendance, but not us. I'm just kind of new to DC. I saw Superman in theaters with some friends and loved it. That's awesome. The Peacemaker show is kind of inappropriate for you. Hey, fair enough. I don't mind RPG-13, but what's James Gunn's plan for DC? His plan for DC is just for the shows and the movies to be the best they could be, and what that means is not restricting them to have to be a certain tone or a certain rating. So DC, the DCU is a universe that, I mean, after this year will actually be a universe with primarily R-rated content right now, but a universe that, you know, can have both DC, PG-13 and R, and even PG rated projects. So, like, you know, you have Peacemaker and Creature Commandos rated TVMA, you have Superman PG-13, you have Supergirl PG-13, you have Lanterns TVMA, you have Clayface rated R, then you have Man of Tomorrow coming out next year, that's likely PG-13, you have a Wonder Woman movie that's likely PG-13, I think a Blue Beetle animated series is in development, so that'll probably be PG or TV-14. Mr. Miracle, I don't know what rating that's going to be, but he's not restricting his plan is not to restrict the filmmakers and writers from telling the best story they can. It's likely all building up to some sort of Justice League movie, but that's still probably a little while away. What's up, Hassan? Nice to have you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully your week's going well. How you doing? Imagine Ben 10 in the Star Wars universe. That'd be my dream crossover. Would it make sense? Hell no. Would I care? Hell no. I think my inner Gina from Brooklyn Nine-Nine came out there. Nah, that would be just like, I don't care that it doesn't make sense. That would be so freaking cool to see. What do you think about the whole chicken jockey Minecraft situation with kids trashing theaters for nothing but a TikTok trend? I'm scared for my current movie too. Yeah, I think taken overboard. I think at first it was pretty funny. Kind of similar to the Minions movie, kind of going up there in like suits. I think that's just fun. Like, that's just funny and fun. Let kids be kids. Let people have fun. However, when people take it to the situation that you're describing, where they're trashing theaters, right? Then that's too far. Then that's not okay. That's not funny. That's not fun. But I think they're just being like a fun chicken jockey thing. I think that's fine. I think let kids be kids in that situation. Could Deadpool 4 be Deadpool and Peacemaker? That would be hilarious. Unlikely, but still pretty funny. And I would not be opposed to that. But I think that's pretty unlikely, especially because because Deadpool 4 sounds like it might is the key word. It might be the first MCU movie after Secret Wars. Which arguably makes it a prime candidate to be a Marvel DC crossover experience. But I think they're going to have a little more fun with it, and it's going to be this sort of 90-minute post-credit scene, if you will, to Secret Wars to kind of transition us into this new MCU. What's up? It's Z Dragon. Nice to have you here. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome. Hope you're having a good day. What's your thoughts on the Tech Jacket gender swap? I don't care. She's such a fraud, bro. Hey, look, I don't care. I didn't read the comics of Invincible, so, you know, if you have, you might feel differently. The friend that I watch Invincible with, he said he doesn't care about the gender swap, and he did read the comics. I don't think it's a big deal, to be fair. I think she's a fun character from what we've seen of her so far. I've seen that they're setting up some sort of romantic plot line with her and Oliver, which in the comics, I saw that he has a romantic relationship with a bug. Well, you know, one of the flaxen? No, not flaxen. The bug species, which you know, I'm okay that they switched it to be a person instead. I think she's a fun character. So I really don't mind it. Since Warner Bros. Already has a relationship with Toho, do you think an animated or less likely live-action adaptation of Godzilla vs. Kong vs. Justice League in the future? Animated, possibly. It depends on what DC wants to do with animated movies moving forward. I don't know when their last animated movie was. I think a couple years ago. So if they're continuing to do these kind of one-off animated movies that have no relation to anything else, I think that's not out of the question. I don't think it's a priority though right now. We're reading Daredevil, Born Again, Invincible, The Boys, and Monarch Legacy Monsters all in the same week. Yeah, I don't watch Monarch Legacy Monsters. I'm not a Godzillaverse fan. The other three though are hype, and you're forgetting Maul Shadow Lord, which to be fair, I haven't watched this week's episode yet, so no spoilers. But what a peak lineup we have right now. All right, Sean Baker is set to write and direct. I believe Sean Baker is the writer-director behind... Oh my goodness. What was the best picture, not this past year with Sinners, but not Sinners. Should have been Sinners. What about another? Last year. The movie that won Best Picture in 2025. I believe he wrote and directed that. Set to write and direct a new film, Te Amo, for Warner Brothers' new indie studio named Clockwork, in theaters next year. Cool. Cool. I love the idea of a special presentation of something like Deadpool introduced to the new Marvel Universe. Yeah, honestly, like, that could be what it is. Like, a 90-minute movie that's just, like, Deadpool going around the new Marvel Universe and, like, huh, this is the X-Men. Cool. Huh. Fantastic Four. No way. You're here now. Like, you know. I think it's a fun time. Like, I don't need the deepest story from this, if that's all it is, you know. I think that'd be really fun. He's getting manhandled by one Viltrumite bro. One, hey, look, man, she's a human. She's a human. I believe she's a human, right? Just with technology. Fighting Viltrumites. Like, I didn't really expect Tech Knight to be doing much against these Viltrumites. Like, I was expecting it's mainly going to be Mark, Nolan, and Oliver, and Alan and Battle Beast, you know? Tech Knight looks cool. And, you know, she can help as being a distraction, maybe. Is bringing back dead characters, heroes or villains, too much fan service or a good story? Example, Scream 7, T. Stu could be alive, but he died in the first movie with the TV thrown on him. The answer to that is it depends. It depends on how it's executed. So that example, now I haven't seen that movie, the Scream 7, I have seen the first one, a couple after that, but that is fan service, but it's something that I think literally every person who has watched Scream wants to happen. So that's fine. There are circumstances where it was just kind of like, all right, we're bringing this person back now. Okay. Then there are circumstances like Darth Maul, where you bring back Darth Maul and you're like, that's interesting. Why? And then Darth Maul becomes one of the best Star Wars characters, like, unironically. So it all depends on how it's done. It all depends on how it's done. Oliver literally said he's found a lobster attractive in the latest episode. Yeah, he did. Bro's a little freaky. Bro's a little freaky. James Gunn messaged you to write and direct a DC movie or TV. Which character or teams you want to do? Red Hood. All day, every day, Red Hood. He is my favorite DC character, favorite comic character. And I have been, as I peruse Red Hood fans online, the subreddit, etc., I tear my hair out at how these fans don't understand storytelling and just don't understand the character, nor do they understand character development. And a lot of times, time to do the writers themselves of these comics. So easily Red Hood. I love the Teen Titans as well. I would easily just say Teen Titans, please. If not Red Hood. Yeah, those would be my two. Or I guess the Titans. They wouldn't be Teen Titans, just the Titans. Yeah, those would be my two big ones. What do you think of the A-Train redemption arc? I think it's good. I think it's a good redemption arc. Well, here we go. The logo for Warner Brothers' new label, Clockwork, designed for lower-budgeted global theatrical releases with innovative marketing campaigns, starting with Sean Baker's Te Amo. Cool. I like the idea of that. Now, when these studios say indie movies, like with his, I gotta look up what his movie was. 2025 best picture. Anora. With his movie Anora, that won Best Picture in 2025. It was an indie movie, and his speech kind of was like, "This is an indie movie. This is great. Blah blah blah." The budget was like $6 million. Like, technically, yes, that is an indie movie. However, like, you and I are not making movies for $6 million, right? So let's get something straight here. These indie movies, they're still not indie movies, if you know what I mean. You know, they're not low budget movies. They're still high budget movies, just not high, or relatively speaking, to the blockbusters. But the A-Train Redemption arc, I liked a lot. Really good character. Really interesting character. What about some Marvel Zombies getting a season 2? I'm excited for it. I thought season 1 was pretty fun. I'm typically a fan of zombie media, of the zombie genre, and I think the characters are all fun. I mean, I love Iman Vellani's Miss Marvel, so any more of her is just a massive plus. So the fact that she was the focus and the lead of Marvel Zombies was definitely a plus and added to it. But the way it ended off, I think it's an interesting cliffhanger, and there were some rumors and reports that if it were to get renewed for season 2, it'd focus on some more street level characters. I'd really be interested in that if that's the direction they're going. So yeah, I'm all for it. She's supposed to be the strongest warrior from her civilization. Well, yeah, from her civilization. Does that mean she's stronger than Viltrumites? I don't know. Tech Jacket in the comics is supposed to be extra strong because the species that usually use the suits are really weak. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't mind it because I didn't read the comics. If you guys read the comics and have a different opinion, that's totally okay. Like, that's totally fine. You're definitely allowed to have that opinion. I haven't read the comics, so I'm taking this show for what it is, and I think the show is freaking amazing. Every universe, like Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and other existed in one universe, who would you like to see interact with? Probably either Star Wars and Lord of the Rings or Marvel and Lord of the Rings. Like, the idea of, like, Gimli interacting with C-3PO or R2 is fun to me. Or Aragorn interacting with Captain America is fun to me. So I'd say those. What are your thoughts on the Punisher special presentation trailer? I think it's a fantastic trailer. I am so excited for it. It seems like they're continuing the tone and feel of his Netflix show, which before Invincible was my favorite superhero show. Of that, it's very psychological, but it's also surreal in a way. And it seems like they're continuing that tone, and I love that. I love that tone for the Punisher show. I am so excited for the Punisher special. My only thing is that it might be continuing the trend of, oh, I'm Frank Castle, I don't want to be the Punisher, but by the end of this show, I'm going to be Punisher again, and the next time you see me, I don't want to be the Punisher, you know. So we'll see. I mean, that if it's done well, it's done well. Then it's fine. But that's my only real concern. I am so excited for it, though. I can't wait. I love an Under the Red Hood movie, but from Jason's perspective, just do something different with the story. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with Under the Red Hood, right? With that whole sort of mystery and story with the DCU, it brings up the question of, do you even try to act like... Do you even try to hide the fact that Red Hood is Jason Todd? That Red Hood is Batman's old Robin? Or is that either A, too common knowledge, or B, if it's not, do you think that's too easily spoilered online? So, yeah, do you try to take another perspective from it? I think that's an interesting perspective. All from Jason's perspective. That could be interesting. I think you also just do it where you have the first scene show that, like, the audience, like, okay, yeah, this is Red Hood. Like, this is Jason Todd. This is ex-Robin, or allude to it, and then don't have the story rely on the fact that Red Hood is this mysterious person. You still have Batman maybe not recognize it right away, but that's okay, because that's just called dramatic irony. That happens in a lot of projects. But that's an interesting idea. Under the Red Hood movie from Jason's perspective. Wouldn't mind that. I would like to see a Plastic Man and Metamorpho movie in DCU. I'd be cool with that too. Metamorpho was really fun in Superman, and I also want to see Plastic Man show up in the DCU somewhere. Do you expect any new Dune footage news? For people in attendance, yes. For us, no. I do not. Clayface trailer, maybe. Like I said, non-zero chance. I'm not expecting it, so I don't think any of us should expect a Clayface trailer. But non-zero chance. We'll have to wait and see. I just watched Hoppers yesterday in theaters, and damn, finally a good Pixar movie. I heard it was pretty good. I did hear it was pretty good. I'm looking forward to watching it, likely when it's on Disney+. But I did hear good things about it, and I will definitely be checking it out. Jason Gaming, what's up, man? As a happy, thanks for tuning in. Says, hey, man, good to see you stream again. Any big news yet? Nothing yet. Nothing yet. All we've had is literally these two things right here, and they're kind of one and the same. That Warner Brothers has a new label, Clockwork, designed for lower-budgeted global theatrical releases with innovative marketing campaigns, starting with Sean Baker's Te Amo, which, yeah, Sean Baker is set to write and direct a new film, Te Amo, for Clockwork. And that is it. That is it. Yeah, for anybody just tuning in, don't expect anything huge from this panel. Typically, CinemaCon doesn't have massive news, especially for people in attendance. It's a smaller convention for people in the industry, for critics, for journalists, for social media influencers. Rarely with anything big released to the public, and also rarely with anything big announced for content coming out after, you know, the 12-year calendar. So I'm not expecting anything big here. The people in attendance will likely see footage that we won't get to see, and at most maybe a Clayface trailer. Even that, probably not. Tech Jacket is stronger in the show though than the comics, way stronger. Interesting. So then, but she's still a jobber in your opinion, or still a fraud in your opinion. Interesting. Would a Viltrumite beat Superman? Would a Viltrumite beat Superman? Yeah, home of DCU. They just said my Clayface. All right, got you. Home of DCU. It's a hard one to say. I mean, you know, the answer that. Oops. I added that wrong. Column user home of DCU. I'm assuming. Yeah, so what do you say here at Clayface is a Clayface logo was shown in a sizzle reel for Warner Brothers. That's about it. Which means they'll probably touch upon it here. But, yeah, I don't know if we'll get to see it. But yeah, I don't know if Viltrumite will beat Superman. I mean, the answer that Stan Lee would always give is it depends on who's writing it. So I'm going to give the answer as well. It depends on who's writing it and who they want to win. If Mace Windu ever been Nick Fury, that's a good point. Mace Windu and Nick Fury interacting would be pretty fun as well. Nick, what's up, man? Saturday tuning in says Clayface trailer. Not unlikely, but I don't think it's likely. Haven't seen Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 5, Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2, Episode 7, or Maul Shadow Lord Episode 3 and 4 yet. You know, me neither. Episode 5 is not out yet. That comes out at in less than an hour. And Episode 3 and 4 of Maul, I have also not watched yet. But I'm going to get around to it. Who's your boys' final season death predictions? I was trying to think about this the other day. Me and my friend were talking about it. I mean, like, I feel like Huey has to survive. Purely because if Huey dies, then I feel like that's just a really sad ending. And I know they're probably not going for the most hopeful ending in the world. Like, it's going to be bittersweet, but I feel like if Huey dies, then what's the point of the show, right? Like, he's the character that we've kind of been experiencing this world through. And if Huey dies, then the message at the end is like a really sad one. Now, I think Butcher obviously dies. I think it's, on the flip side, kind of disappointing if Butcher doesn't die. I think Homelander has to die as well. Now, along with the Huey lines, though, I was kind of expecting at the start of the season for everybody except Huey to die. But then, like, they're really playing up this story of Annie wanting to die, which I feel like if she wants to die and then ends up dying in the end, that's just not good writing and kind of also sends a weird message. So I feel like Annie also has to survive. But then what about Frenchie and Kimiko? I don't know. I feel like they probably have to die as well. But then now I feel like I feel like they're the prime candidates to die because we're getting this, a full season of them together. I think they're the prime candidates to die outside of Butcher and Homelander. And then I think, is in a weird in-between state. I think there's a world where he doesn't die and that's satisfying because he goes back to his daughter. But there's also a world where he dies and it's just a tragic death, Got any expectations for the Spider Noir show? And if you could greenlight any live-action Spider-Man show, what would you choose? I had no expectations for Spider-Man Noir. I just expect to be entertained. I have no expectations for actual quality of said show. I just think it's going to be an entertaining show purely on the fact that it's Nick Cage. And that's it. Okay, I'm going to remove one of these just because Twitter has that thing where, like, you have it's only so many tweets you can see a day without buying premium. So I don't want to have too many tweets show up here, especially if they're retweeting an account. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of... Yeah, I'm going to get rid of discussing film right now. But if they ever post something that either of these two don't, and if you guys notice, let me know. I would just take a first look at Clayface or anything with the movie or a description. I mean, yeah, we'll probably get a description of footage that they see. I have no doubt that the people in attendance will see something for Clayface. So we'll probably, at bare minimum, get a description of that. However, us seeing footage is more up in the air. It can go either way. The Invincible versus Loki gets clocked by... Invincible verse, Loki gets clocked by most verses. That's true, except for the boys universe. They definitely clocked the boys universe. Any characters with hacks just clock the Viltrumites? Fair. TF, what's going on, man? Nice to have everything. Tuning in. Welcome back. Says, I think the Doomsday trailer will get shown on Thursday, and they'll release it online the day after. There's been trailers from the panels that have dropped online already. Oh, really? Interesting. Like what? What, I saw the Insidious trailer yesterday, got dropped during the panel. And I know that the Hunger Games trailer also released yesterday. Was that in conjunction with the panel? Did Lionsgate have a CinemaCon panel yesterday that the trailer dropped out? I'm checking right now. No. Is Lionsgate at CinemaCon? Let's see. Amazon. That's not Lionsgate. Lionsgate actually isn't at CinemaCon. Okay, so that trailer wasn't for CinemaCon. But yeah, I saw the Insidious trailer dropped yesterday during the Sony panel. So it's not impossible that the Doomsday trailer releases on Thursday. I still don't think so. I think the first Doomsday trailer for the public, I think it's possible, if not likely, that the people in attendance will get to see a trailer for Doomsday. But I think that the first trailer for the public, like the first full trailer, obviously we got, the four before. Oh, here we go. Jack Black gives an update on Minecraft Movie 2 in a video sent to attendees. Cool. Yeah, I think the first trailer to the public of Doomsday is at San Diego Comic-Con in July. However, it's not out of the question that the trailer for Doomsday drops on Thursday, which is why I'm doing a live stream on Thursday for the Disney panel. Have you seen The Boys episode 1? I did. I thought episode 1 and 2. I thought it was pretty good. Since Kirkman is still going ahead with the Invincible live-action movie, what route do you think they should go with the film? I don't know. I've been thinking that. I don't know. Because the story of Invincible is not one that you can cram into one movie, let alone a trilogy. Like, there's a reason why it's a show. And it works so well in a show. I don't know. Like, half of me is excited to just see Invincible in live action. I think that could be really cool, just visually. But the other part of me is like, how does this work in a movie? I'm not sure, sorry, in live action, yeah, in the movie format. The other half of me is like, how does this work in a movie format? How does this story work? Do they do an original story? Then it's also like, okay, that's kind of cool, but also that's a little bit worrisome too. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Electrical Fuse, what's going on? Just arrived. Has anything interesting happened yet? No, not really. And likely nothing interesting will happen here. For the most part. All we've had so far is Sean Baker has a new film coming out next year, released under a new division of Warner Brothers called Clockwork, focused more on indie films. Apparently, in the sizzle at the start, the logo for Clayface was shown, and then Jack Black has given an update on Minecraft Movie 2 in a video sent to attendees. Disney has let go their entire home entertainment team and a lot of the Marvel visual team. I saw that. That is very sad and unfortunate for all the people who lost their jobs. I hope they are able to find new ones soon. That is very sad and unfortunate to hear. Huey needs to live because he needs to prove you don't have to change for the worse to fight against such a greater world. Exactly. And if Huey dies, then it kind of says that there's no hope for the future. For you. Like, if you fight. Oh, here we go. James Gunn, David Cornsweet, and Nicholas Hoult also sent a video to attendees saying they can't wait to tell us more about Man of Tomorrow. Alright, so that's probably it. So, for Man of Tomorrow. So, likely that they won't confirm who Adria Arjona is playing in Man of Tomorrow. Which, look, guys, again, not to give myself or any of you false hope, but the longer it goes without James Gunn confirming that Adria Arjona is playing Maxima, the more I feel that she is playing Wonder Woman. So, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes, but yeah. Can't stick around, but thought I'd come say hi. Well, hello, Box Officer. Thanks for tuning in, man. Nice to have you. Hope you're having a good day. We're choosing for Anime of the Year for the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. I ain't choosing anybody. I haven't watched an anime in a little while. I was in the anime scene and then out of the anime scene very quickly. I watched Demon Slayer, love Demon Slayer. I watched Attack on Titan, love Attack on Titan. I watched JJK, it's solid. I watched Chainsaw Man, love Chainsaw Man, and I started My Hero, and a season and a half into My Hero, I realized I was watching way too much anime. I got to start watching some live action stuff again, and haven't really got back into anime. I saw the Demon Slayer movie and the Chainsaw Man movie, and both of those are fantastic. But in terms of shows, I haven't watched any, so I'm not choosing any because I just haven't seen. Tom Cruise and Alejandro, the director likely, are now on stage to talk about their new movie, Digger. Cool. I heard Minecraft 2 is on stage from a commenter in another video. Is that true? Yeah, it sounds like it is true. Okay, I'm going to remove this person for now because they're just, doing some other stuff. And I'm going to bring back Discussing Film to see if they have included anything else. Oh, wait, why can't I add the gun? Oh, because it's already there. Okay, yeah, so they have said some more stuff. Okay, so the Oceans prequel will release in 2027 in theaters. It follows the parents of Danny Ocean at the 1962 Monaco Grand Prix, played by, I think, Bradley Cooper and Margot Robbie, which are either there. All right. Evil Dead Wrath will release in theaters next year. 2026 and 2027 will have back-to-back Evil Dead films release. Okay, not a fan of that franchise, but that's cool for people who are. A teaser for The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum was shown at CinemaCon. This is a tale that must never be told. Interesting. And David Cornsweet and Nicholas Hoult tease Man of Tomorrow as a new villain and an unlikely alliance trying to save the world with your sworn enemy, which is fun. Let me open this up on my other screen to see what the descriptions for these are. All right. Seems like there's no description yet for the Hunt for Gollum, which is what I was looking for specifically. All right. But yeah, I'm excited for that movie as well. Do you think Spider-Man can solo the entire Bat family? No, I don't. I mean, hot take, I don't think Spider-Man solos Batman. I think the only and it pains me to say this, it really does, but I think the only member of the Bat family, well, I guess, okay. When you say Bat family, I'm going to say Bruce, Dick, Jason, Tim, Barbara, and Damian. Out of them, I think he solos half of them. I think Spider-Man can solo Jason. I think he can solo Damian. I think he can solo Barbara. I don't think he solos Bruce. I don't think he solos Dick, and I don't think he solos Tim. But also, I'm a much bigger Bat Family fan than I am Spider-Man. Jason Todd and Dick Grayson are two of my top 3 DC and comic characters, so just take, I might be a little biased as well. Godzilla -1 trailer was shown earlier at the panel, then they released. Oh, interesting. Okay, fair enough. The only way I see the Invincible movies working is that the focus only on the Viltrumite storylines, and even then they would have to cut it down to just most important elements. Yeah, they would have to cut out a lot of what makes Invincible. So I mean, look, like, Robert Kirkman is very involved, and they're not rushing it out, so I'm not excited for it. Like, I will go see it, because here's the thing, too. This is my opinion kind of just on, like, any sort of adaptation of anything, really, is that no matter what, it doesn't erase the original from existence. So, I love the Invincible show. Like, I didn't read the comics, like I said. So, let's say this Invincible live-action movie comes out, and it's not good. Like, that sucks, right? But no one's forcing me to rewatch that movie after I watch it once. So I just go, man, that movie wasn't good. And I'll bring it up if anybody asks what my opinion is on the movie. But it doesn't take away the animated show. So I just go back and watch that if I ever want to. Oh. All right. The cast for Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, has been revealed in theaters December 2027. All right, let's watch this cast reveal for Lord of the Rings, Hunt for Gollum. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit so I don't get copyrighted. Let me just turn on the audio a little bit as well. Andy Serkis as Gollum and Smeagol. Ian McKellen as Gandalf. Kate Winslet as Marigold. Okay. Jamie Dornan as Strider. Ooh, Leo Woodall as Halvard. Okay. Lee Pace as Thandril is back. And Elijah Wood as Frodo Baggins. Ooh. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, Lord of the Rings fans. Who is Marigold and who is Halvard? Strider, Aragorn, obviously. Jamie Dornan. The rumor was Leo Woodall before, and I didn't hate that. I think he kind of looks like a young Viggo Mortensen. Like, I could see there's a bit of a resemblance there. But Jamie Dornan as Strider is interesting. Very interesting. And I say that in like just a matter of fact interesting. Like, I don't know if I like that or dislike it, but it's a very interesting choice. Ooh, okay. Let's pull that back up. Yeah, so Andy Serkis, Gollum, and Smeagol. Like, here's the thing with this, right? I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. It's my 3rd favorite trilogy of all time, just after the Star Wars trilogies, which I'm biased out because I grew up with them since I was 2 years old. So, like, nothing's ever going to top them. So, objectively speaking, it's might be my favorite trilogy of all time. And I'm reading the books right now. I'm not the biggest fan of Andy Serkis as a director. However, Peter Jackson's involved with this as a producer. He'll likely shadow direct a little bit if needed. But just like Andy Serkis as Gollum and Smeagol alone, it's going to be an entertaining movie. We're going to get a hell of a performance from this movie just from him alone. We have Ian McKellen back as Gandalf. Is he older? Yes. Do I care? No. Kate Winslet in it? I don't know who Marigold is, but, like, Kate Winslet, she's great. Jamie Dornan as Strider, again, interesting choice. I'm not against it. Leo Woodall, don't know who Halvard is, but, cool. And Lee Pace is Thandril. That's interesting that he's back. I don't know the story of the Hunt for Gollum overall, so I just know that it's about Aragorn and Gandalf hunting down Gollum, but Thandril being in it is interesting. I wonder if that means that Legolas is in as well, and then Orlando Bloom will be back. I'm very curious about that. And Elijah Wood as Frodo Baggins is also always a good thing. Always a good thing. See? Here's your Vigs. I don't know if Will was here, the dude that was asking about will they wear Vigs, but here, they're wearing Vigs here. They're wearing Vigs here for sure. Very exciting. Very exciting. I can't wait for Gollum Wars? Secret Wars and Hunt for Gollum are coming out on the same day. Next year. So I'm very excited for that. Anyway, down here, Sam Esmail's Panic Carefully will be the first IMAX digital release presented entirely in the 4:3:1 aspect ratio during the entire film, starring Julia Roberts and Elizabeth Olsen, described as a paranoid thriller that is a mix of Mr. Robot and Silence of the Lambs. Cool. Yeah, but honestly, guys, this is enough for me already for this panel. Like, this is cool. This is hype for me. Interesting. Jamie Dornan. I guess I gotta watch Jamie Dornan stuff now. Like, I'll skip the 50 Shades movies, but I have to watch something more recent with Jamie Dornan to try to get a feel of him as Strider. I don't know why I always had this feeling, like Huey gonna die, but after episode 1, I feel like he's just hella lucky. Also, I doubt they kill off Starlight. That will just make Huey suffer, and he's already suffers a lot. Yeah, I agree. I think Huey can't die, just because I think the message then of the show becomes super not hopeful at all. And yeah, Starlight, like, they can't kill her off because of they're setting up her wanting to die, So it feels like that would just also not be satisfying. Chainsaw Man movie is movie of the year for 2025, hands down. For anime, it has to be. My movie of the year last year was Superman, but for animated movies, 100%. I am pissed that it was not even nominated for Best Animated Film at the Oscars, let alone won. Like, oh my, what an absolutely beautiful movie, and I mean that on all fronts. Beautifully acted, beautifully animated, just beautifully told, beautifully written, beautifully directed, beautiful score. Oh my gosh, the In the Pool score, just beautiful scene, but the score is what makes it. What a movie, man. What a movie. New footage for Digger is now being shown to attendees. Neat. Jamie Dornan has been cast as Aragorn. I mean, I see it. Like, you put these back to back, grow his hair out a little bit. Even then, like, if it's a younger Strider, hair doesn't need to be super long. But also, here's the thing too. I'm not of the opinion that if you're recasting someone that they need to look exactly like the actor. Now, they had to cast someone who vaguely resembles Viggo Mortensen, but like, he doesn't have to look one-to-one like a young Viggo Mortensen. However, I see it. I definitely see it. Looks-wise, I'm cool with that casting. We'll see if he can. Now, look, I'm also not expecting his performance to be Viggo Mortensen. Like, Viggo Mortensen is Aragorn, and I believe he was asked, perhaps, if he wanted to come back, and he just said no, which is fair. But I also fully believe in recasting. So, yeah, I just need him to be a good Strider, and, I trust that they cast the person that they think is the right Strider. Very interesting. Very interesting. With Disney letting go of their entire home entertainment team and a lot of the Marvel Visuals team, people are saying Disney's moving away from entertainment, movie, and TV to theme parks. Nah, I mean, that's just not true. They're just scaling back a little bit probably on their output for that, which makes sense. They've been doing that over the past couple years anyway. I think they probably just saw that there's too many people on their team for the amount of projects they're making. Now, I'm not justifying letting people go. Whenever people lose their jobs and are let go, like, that sucks. That is not a good situation at all. And I'm not in support of that necessarily. But what probably happened is they were just like, all right, we have this many people. We don't need this many people. So, let's not have this many people. But I'm not saying I agree with that. That's probably just what's happening, though. Like, they're not going to stop making movies or shows. If you ever want to get back in anime, check out To Be Hero X. It's an amazingly animated superhero show with a unique premise about people getting power from popularity. Oh, interesting. Let me add that actually to my list. That does sound like an interesting premise for sure. Crunchyroll. I'm not signed in. To be Hero X. There you go. Add to watch list. Thank you for the recommendation. I appreciate it. Could Spidey solo Kate Batwoman? That one, I'm going to say I don't know. My gut says no, but I am not super familiar with Batwoman, so I don't want to say yes or no to that because I'm not familiar with the character all too much. What are your thoughts on the stuff we got for Beyond the Spider-Verse yesterday? I don't really have thoughts on it, to be honest. It was just like 4 stills. That doesn't make me excited or not excited. It just is, if that makes sense. It's not cool, for sure, but like, you know, we're still a year away from this movie, over a year away from this movie. It didn't increase or decrease my anticipation or hype for Beyond the Spider-Verse. But in saying that, I am excited for Beyond the Spider-Verse. Immensely excited for Beyond the Spider-Verse. I feel like you could fit up to the Invincible War in a movie trilogy. Yeah, and that's if you strip out everything else and really make it as bare bones as possible, which is what makes Invincible so great, is that it's like, it is, but it isn't super bare bones. First teaser for Digger shows Tom Cruise as an elderly CEO who must fix a worldwide catastrophe that he caused. Cruise has gray receding hair and a prosthetic nose. There's a lot of hype around this movie coming out next year. I'm interested. Godzilla vs. Kong Supernova? Possibly. Chisel Man was snubbed so hard from the awards. Fully agree, man. Fully agree. And it was probably because they just didn't want to watch something that, you know, is a sequel to seasons of his show, and they probably didn't want to they probably thought they would have to watch those shows to understand. Yeah, it was so snubbed. It's so good. I want to send the Hunt for Gollum cast to one of my friends. Go. Why did that not copy? The end of Oak Street is now being showcased. So this is an interesting movie. I actually haven't seen this trailer yet, but it stars Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor, and I hear it's like a dinosaur horror movie. I find that very interesting. And I mean, look, you put Ewan McGregor in something, I'm gonna watch it. Would you be interested in a live-action adaptation of Chainsaw Man, given the author's love for American cinema? Ooh. My answer to this is yes. It's an interesting situation, right? Well, okay. I believe Netflix announced last year sometime that they're developing a live-action Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is my favorite anime. Demon Slayer is a show that you could do in live action that would look so great visually if done well. However, my fear is that they're just going to Americanize it. Cast all white dudes, have it be in full English, and just churn it out. So if that would be the situation with Chainsaw Man, I'm going to say no. If they give the same amount of care and craft to a Chainsaw Man live action, then I would be interested in it. And here's it goes back to what I was saying before about how a live action Demon Slayer, a live action Chainsaw Man, if they suck, that sucks. But it doesn't take anything away from the anime or the manga. I can always just go back to those if I ever want to rewatch the story. Best case scenario, the live action adaptations are great, and it gets people to experience these stories that wouldn't have otherwise because of they are not interested in manga or anime. Worst case scenario, they're bad, and I just go back to watching the anime, So I'd be interested. I don't know if I'd be excited. It's New Line Cinema time. All right. Is Lord of the Rings not New Line? I thought it was. Or was this just kind of general Warner Brothers? This might have just been general. I don't know. We'll see. And we still got like an hour left of the panel. Maybe a little bit more depending on, how late or early they started. So, we'll see. Spidey solos the Bat family without prep time. He's physically stronger than them. Death Battle to Spider-Man versus Batman and Spider-Man 1. Them being physically stronger does not mean anything. Spider-Man does not have the same combat prowess that the Bat family has, especially Batman and Dick Grayson. Two of the best fighters in comics. Not the two best, but two of the best. Spider-Man does not have the fighting capabilities that they do. So yes, he has powers. I don't know if that's enough. I said to be Hero X is like a mix of The Boys and Invincible. Interesting, with a sprinkle of My Hero. Hey man, you're saying all three shows that I love, so that's a great combination in my book. Chainsaw Man would not work in live action. Live action anime adaptations are almost always ass. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. They almost always are. I've heard really good things about the One Piece live action, though. I haven't watched it, nor have I watched the original. I have no interest. I'll probably watch I'm going to watch the remake anime when it comes out next year, just for pacing-wise, and just so I don't have to watch 1,000 episodes or something. It says a reel for New Line Cinema's upcoming films is now being showcased with scenes from Evil Dead Burn, Mortal Kombat, and Mummy. Okay. Interesting. So, there's an Evil Dead thing here, and we heard about Evil Dead here. Alright. Yeah, well, let's see how this panel plays out. Adria Arjona has actually got cast today for Superman sequel. Yes, she has. Also, welcome Jacob Castle. It's Harry. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're having a good one. Some sources say she's playing Maxima, but some sources say she's cast in a mysterious role, and some think it's Wonder Woman. Yes, so a few months ago, maybe more than a few months ago, rumors circulated that James Gunn is casting Maxima for Man of Tomorrow. A few weeks ago, it was said that the Maxima auditions is just a code name, whatever, a cover for Wonder Woman auditions. Now it's also being reported that Maxima, we'll put Maxima in quotes, this quote-unquote Maxima does not have a huge role in this movie, and it's a role, it's a size comparable to Supergirl in Superman. So, is she Wonder Woman? I don't know. My perspective on it right now is I'm assuming that she's playing Maxima until stated otherwise. I would love for her to be Wonder Woman. She is my top Wonder Woman fan cast. So I'd be all for it. But I don't want to get my hopes up just based off of rumors. So I'm going to assume that she is Maxima until it's proven otherwise. Now, counteract that, to try to, look at all the situations on both sides, James Gunn has not come out to confirm the casting. Typically, when he does, when casting news like this breaks, he confirms it almost immediately, and he hasn't yet. That's interesting. Also, The fact that the character is said to have a similar size role as Supergirl and Superman, one scene, maybe two, because they said similar, not exact, leads me to believe that it might not be Maxima, because I don't know how Maxima plays into it for only a scene or two. However, setting up Wonder Woman, especially if Wonder Woman goes into production next year for a 2028 release, Man of Tomorrow releasing next year, so similar to Supergirl, she would appear in a movie a year before her own movie. It's interesting. The longer it goes without James Gunn confirming that she's Maxima, would make me believe more and more that she is Wonder Woman. But it's only been like 5 hours. So I'm just still going to assume that she is Maxima until we're proven otherwise. Maybe we're proven otherwise here. Maybe not. We'll see. I would love for her to be Wonder Woman, though. But right here, it's time for Evil Dead Burn. Evil Dead Burn new footage is now being showcased. Cool. I'd say especially since One Piece works, Chainsaw Man would work the best as an R-rated CG filled action film, plus the arcs fit well by themselves as self-contained stories for the most part. Yeah, that is true. I think Chainsaw Man would work well, like if they go movie-wise for movies. Storytelling-wise. Have you seen A24's latest movie, The Drama? I heard it's really good. It didn't drop in Egypt. Oh, damn, that sucks. I did not. I have not seen it yet. I wanted to go out and see it. I just was busy with other stuff, so it'll likely just be one I catch when it's on streaming. But I did hear, good things as well. Spidey has Spider Sense, which counters the Bat family's main tactic, stealth. I don't know if that's their main tactics. I mean, it is a frequent tactic used by them, but take away stealth, they're not useless. He has Spidey sense, but Spider-Man still gets beat up a lot. He still loses fights. I don't know if stealth is a make or break. Chainsaw Man is too freaky for a live-action Western movie. That's true. That's true. But they take the freak out of Chainsaw Man. And look, like I say that with a smile, but that's straight up. Like, this is gonna sound really weird. I'm a defender of the freak in Chainsaw Man because it serves the purpose of the story and the characters. And I know part 2 of Chainsaw Man, from what I hear, is complete ass. But at least so far where the anime is, what they're exploring through the usage of this freak, for lack of a better term, I think is really interesting and really compelling. It might not be for everybody, and that's okay. Not everything should be made to appeal to everybody. But as someone who has not read the manga and has only watched the anime, I think the freak is essential. When Tarantino proves the freak can stay, little bit different kind of freak, to be fair. After watching Superman, I'm not looking forward to the new DCU. I think they should have allowed Snyder to carry on and go with the Suicide Squad and goofier stuff, and then we'll connect later. Hey, I respect your opinion. You're totally entitled to that. I just rewatched Man of Steel and Batman v Superman the other week after I've not watching them for years. When they first came out, I really liked them. I got so pissed at those movies when I rewatched them. They fundamentally do not understand the character of Superman. They fundamentally do not understand him. In Batman v Superman, Superman doesn't know if he can trust humanity. Superman says to Lois Lane, no one stays good in this world. Superman says that. That one line encapsulates how that character is fundamentally misunderstood. There's another line by Batman as well that shows that it fundamentally misunderstands the character of Batman that I don't remember. James Gunn's Superman movie is the most Superman movie that has been made. It is hopeful. It is joyful. Clark Kent is kind. He's caring. He's goofy. He's cheesy. And that's Superman. You just might not like the character of Superman. And that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with enjoying Zack Snyder's version of Superman, but also understanding that that is not Superman. And that's fine. First teaser for Evil Dead Rise reveals some brutal Deadite action. A Deadite impaled by the head of a car seat, a Deadite drinking hot candle wax, a young man impaled into a dishwasher full of knives. Cool. New footage from Mortal Kombat 2 is now being showcased. Sweet. Sweet. I thought Chainsaw Man was a gooner anime with the series, but the movie really blew you away. See, I never thought it was with the anime, but, like, especially with this movie. And it's crazy, too. Like, on paper, the pool scene you would expect to be like, oh, this is, like, such a gooner anime. But then you watch the pool scene, you're like, wow, this is the least sexual piece of content I've ever seen. Like, this is such a beautiful scene. Chainsaw Man Part 2 isn't the ending fans wanted, but it's the ending the story was leading to. Interesting. Interesting. It'll be a decade probably. On my mic keeps dying. Sorry, I did not realize that. I'll try to. I might be looking away from the mic. I apologize. The Part 2 probably won't be animated for like a decade, but you know, when I get there, I'll have to keep this comment in mind. So comic accuracy over a good film, I think it's good to take a different direction. Well, I thought it is a good film. But also, yes. Man of Steel, if it was, and BVS, if they actually took the characters seriously and the lore and the comic accuracy of them seriously, those are good films. Like, those are actually interesting films. The fact that I'm watching Superman and Batman not be Superman or Batman is what makes those films not all that enjoyable to watch. Superman is not a perfect film, but that doesn't mean it's a bad film. But you're also, again, you're allowed to not like it. Like, it's okay to not like it. But Superman is undeniably Superman in that movie. Whereas in Man of Steel and BVS especially, it is so contrasting to what Superman actually is and stands up for and represents. Remember, this isn't the established Superman, and if you are harassed by the toxicness of people, it can affect you, Superman. Well, but that's not the point of Superman. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing. If that's what you want to explore, that this godlike being, you know, can be affected by the toxicity and harassed by humanity, then just make an original character. Use an original character. Superman, that's just the total antithesis to Superman. And I also have this opinion as well. If the Snyder movies, Man of Steel, BVS, if they were not the mainline DC movies at the time, and there was a mainline DC universe that was actually comic accurate and took the characters seriously, and then Snyder wanted to do his own things as a little Elseworld experiment, they'd be looked on so much more fondly. But since they were the main and only DC films at those times with those characters, yeah, the fact that they're not comic accurate means a lot. Jonathan Kent said to Superman that maybe he should have let his classmates die. That is the antithesis of Jonathan Kent. Like, that's just not at all. That is a fundamental aspect of Superman and his lore and his character. Fundamental aspect. You can definitely have your own interpretation on things and change things. That is one of the things that is fundamental to the character and what he represents. The Bat family couldn't defeat a not holding back Spider-Man most of the time when Death Battle has done a spider-powered character versus Bat family member. The Bat family member loses. Well, I'm not taking Death Battle as, like, Bible here. Death Battle is fun. Don't get me wrong. But, like, they're not the be-all end-all for what's right or wrong with these who would win. What's fun about these who would win is just having the discussion of, like, who do you think would win, you know? No one's ever right or wrong in these scenarios, unless it's actually written into, you know, a comic or whatever, or a movie or show, whatever. Do you hope the Chainsaw Man Assassin arc is a season or a movie? I can't say because I don't know. I haven't read the manga, so I don't know what I think it would fit best in. All I know is that the arc of the first season of the anime worked well as a season format, and the Reze arc worked well as a movie in that format. So that's all I can really say. It's Warner Brothers animation time. Cool. All Alright, so I don't know if that means they skipped over live action, like in DC, and that there's no Clayface, or if they're saving that for the end. Well, I mean, I'll stay live for the entirety of the panel, regardless. But the Cat in the Hat is now being showcased. Straight up, this movie looks kind of cute. This movie looks kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie. Have you seen the Daredevil Season 3 spoiler pick? I saw it, unfortunately. Wish I didn't. Is a hell of a spoiler. I did. It's not... What it spoils, I'm not going to say what. I'm not going to say what it spoils. What it spoils is not... It wasn't crazy. Like, you know, it's something that some of us could guess that it was leading that way. But it's interesting to see. Interesting to think about, for sure. It's confirmed to be an anime season. Interesting. The only exception is Batman Beyond vs. Batman 2099. Cool. Yeah, I mean, those videos are cool. Like, don't get me wrong. They're very cool. Yeah. Also, yeah, what Hasm says here is my mic being weird. Like, definitely let me know if it is. Or if it's just something at Hasm's end. What about news on Conjuring people called First Communion? Has news for that come out yet? Not that I know of. Not that I know of. MDZ.com, they say everything tuning in, says, will Clayface be showed today? Don't know. We don't know. The logo for Clayface was in the sizzle reel for it, but that doesn't mean it's definitely going to be here. I would be surprised if there's nothing for Clayface, at least for people in attendance, but that doesn't mean there has to be. We'll see. We honestly just don't know. I actually like James Gunn's DCU. The only DCU movie I liked is Wonder Woman 2017 and Shazam 2019. Shazam is such a good movie. I just hated that what Warner Bros. Did with the rest of the movies, so I like James Gunn's DCU. Yeah. I mean, Wonder Woman and Shazam are the two DCU movies that treat the characters the most like they are in the comics, which is important. Nolan was involved with Man of Steel compared to the B1, B2, B3 dialogue from Lex Luthor lazy writing. I don't think you watched Superman then with an open mind, because that's not lazy writing, but also Nolan really wasn't involved with Man of Steel. Like, he was, but he wasn't. People point to that a lot. Like, Christopher Nolan's a producer. Yeah, but he didn't have really much input on it. His name is just kind of there. And you for Cat in the Hat is now being showcased. Neat. Can you hear me at all? Yeah, guys, can you hear me? Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me. I feel like now that we got an earliest Superman in the last film, we'll get the perfected version in this next film now that he's established who he is. You can hear me? Okay, cool. You hear me now? Great. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think what's great about Superman is that he's not perfect, but he just tries his best, right? And I think we'll see that. But I think we also saw that in the previous film. But yeah, I think I agree with you, because I think it's just going to continue upon the character progression from the last film, for sure. Prism's Collecting Corner, and Adria Man thinks tuning in says the Batman 2 was not mentioned when they brought up 2027 films. Well, I mean, to be fair, the Batman is coming out in October of next year. Between now and then, there is another CinemaCon, among other conventions and panels, so it's possible that they just aren't going to focus on that 2027 film and just focus on other 2027 films. Now, also, The Hunt for Gollum, releases after, and that was brought up, so, I think it's just all kind of different. Snyderverse is outperforming Marvel films, so I think DC should be darker. Well, there's the issue, right? Like, DC should not be light or dark. DC should be... It should be a character-by-character basis. Superman is not a dark character. Superman stories and movies should not be dark. There shouldn't be a straight tone for everything. I also don't think that was true. Snyderverse was outperforming Marvel films. You had two films, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. A Batman and Superman movie, and a Superman movie, which did well. But those are two movies. Justice League tanked. Okay, here we go. DC Studios time. All right. DC isn't just dark and edgy. There's so much more wonder and hope in it, and so much whimsy. 1000%. 1000%. Even Batman, and this is a whole other thing going in a different time. Batman, he's dark, but also he's a symbol of hope for the people of Gotham and children in Gotham. He's scary and dark for the villains. And yeah, compared to Superman, his stories are much darker, 100%. But no, they also made Aquaman a joke. That's the whole thing I get into. I hate the adaptation of Aquaman in the DCEU so much. So much. Because he was a joke. Aquaman has only been a joke in Super Friends. In the comics, he's not a joke. And in the DCEU, they made him a joke again. Pissed me off. Anyway, don't want to get into that. The Superman, Greater Man of Steel, I agree. But also, again, if you like Man of Steel more, that's totally okay. Nothing wrong with that. I'm glad you get more enjoyment out of that, for sure. Man of Tomorrow begins filming next week. Let's go. Let's go. All right, now that we have DC Studios on, I'm going to bring back that other, whoops, was it House of DCU? House of the DCU? Ugh. Yeah, wait, let me just go check what the name of that account was. Home of DC. Okay. Peter Safran is on stage talking about DC Studios. Okay. Clayface is now being showcased. All right. All right. All right. Actually, this was going fast. I don't even have to add anything else. The Assassin's arc was never confirmed outside of production. Oh, that's something else. I think Gunn gives quantity over quality. He's making films so quick. I do love Gunn, though, but with Guardians, I disagree. I mean, Gunn's whole thing is that, you know, these projects aren't going to be put into production until the script is good, and where it needs to be. James Gunn has been a writer and working for over 20 years. Like, he's just, and he works nonstop. Like, he is a workaholic. So naturally, he'll write faster than other people, but that doesn't mean he's getting quantity over quality. His whole thing is quality over quantity. Like, that's the whole backbone and premise and philosophy of the DCU. I will not stream for the Universal panel. I'm only streaming for the Warner Brothers panel today for DC and Thursday for the Disney panel for Marvel. Batman Nightfall anime. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so they're doing Batman Nightfall. So yeah, so earlier we were talking about the possibility of a Godzilla versus Kong versus Justice League animated movie. I mean, yeah, not out of the question, not impossible. Death Battle uses calcs and power scaling. Also, there was Clayface stuff shown. Yeah, we're getting into that now. I mean, yeah, you can use calcs and power scaling, but also in a lot of these fights, it does come down to story and circumstance. So it's fun to debate and talk, but like, and Death Battle again are cool videos, but it's not. You can't point a Death Battle saying this character won in this, which means they definitely will win. What are your thoughts on the Godzilla Minus Zero teaser? I didn't watch it. I didn't watch Godzilla Minus One. I'm not a Godzilla guy, so it's just not something I'm interested in. Want Dynamic Duo? Dynamic Duo would be cool, but I don't think we're going to get that here. Because I think that's slated for 2028, so I think there's 2 CinemaCons between now and the release of Dynamic Duo. Would you want DCU Batman to have white eyes or a blue suit? Why not both? Why not both? I want both. We have a live-action Batman currently without the white eyes and a black suit, and that's great. But I think now, since we're in the DCU, a more fantastical superhero comic booky world, why not give him the white eyes? Why not give him a blue suit? Just to be different than the Matt Reeves universe. And also because, yeah, we're in a more colorful world anyway. Embrace it. Have fun with it. A terrifying teaser for Clayface was showcased for attendees. Nice. Supergirl's now being showcased. Cool. All right, let me get Home of the DCU back up here in case. Home of DCU. Boom. All right. Just making sure we didn't miss anything here. Safran on stage. Superman. Man of Tomorrow begins production next week. James is going to be at CinemaCon next year. Clayface October 23rd. First teaser for Clayface shows Matt Haven disfigured in hospital, spliced with shots of Gotham City. The footage ends with his face falling off in a bathtub. Jeez. Clayface is a horror movie. Massively unnerving teaser. That's fire. For those who wanted a break from James Gunn's comedic tone, Clayface looks terrifying and way different than anything we've seen from DC before. Let me talk into the mic. For those who wanted a break from James Gunn's comedic tone, Clayface looks terrifying and way different than anything we've seen from DC before. That's really interesting. That's really interesting and really fun. Who do you think Scarlett Johansson will play in the Batman Part 2? Probably the love interest to Harvey Dent, I would say. Clayface looks dope. This is the kind of comic book movie I'm into, not the bright color, portal in the sky nonsense. Okay, well, that's Jeff Snyder. We don't like this guy. Yeah, he doesn't want comic book movies to be bright. Craig Gillespie, Jason Momoa, and Millie Alcock are now on stage to talk about Supergirl. Nice. Really excited for Supergirl. Next week, that's really soon. Yeah, it is really soon. It's really exciting. What about Matt Reeves' Batverse? No one can deny that rich storytelling is better than Gunn, especially the Penguin. Well, yes, I enjoy the Matt Reeves Batman movie more than I do Superman. That doesn't mean that Superman is bad. It's not black and white like that. Just because something's not better than something else doesn't mean it's bad. The Batman is the best DC movie of all time. What about the rumors of Supergirl getting many test screenings and getting many results if he's so good at writing? Well, he didn't write Supergirl. Supergirl's not a James Gunn movie. And that's also, I mean, Supergirl has gotten a lot of test screenings, a lot of different reactions, and also you can never trust test screening reactions. Terrible movies have had fantastic test screening reactions, and vice versa. But James Gunn also didn't write or direct Supergirl. Jason Momoa says playing Lobo in Supergirl was a dream come true. Yeah. It's a perfect casting. He's going to be great. How much do you think Supergirl will make in box office? I hope it makes as much as Superman did, but I think it's going to make like 500 mil, which is still decent. Yeah, I think I agree with you. About 500 mil, which is still pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, this is still early stage of the DCU, so I'm not expecting, billion-dollar movies right off the bat. And I don't think James Gunn is either. As long as it makes a profit, which 500 million would, I think that's good. It'd be great if it made something close to Superman, but I think it'd be just under. Do you think we'll get any updates on the Blue Beetle show? No, this is CinemaCon, so it's only about movies, not shows. What are your thoughts on Paramount buying Warner Bros.? I was hoping Universal was going to buy it. I was hoping Universal as well, or Netflix actually, between the two, because it came down to Netflix and Paramount. I'm not a fan of Paramount buying it. If Absolute DC Universe got to get a movie or TV, animation is the only option, especially Absolute Batman. Yeah, yes, I agree. And there's rumors of an anime adaptation of Absolute Batman, which is really interesting. And Clayface sounds great. And that's great that you're into that. But it makes sense for a Clayface movie to be body horror and dark. It does not make sense for a Superman movie to be dark. Those are two different kinds of characters. Just saying, in the first encounter fight, without any prior knowledge, Spider-Man wins against the Bat family more times than not. Yeah, and like, you're entitled to that opinion for sure. I just disagree, and that's okay. The Clayface trailer has to be around the corner. I don't know. I mean, it's 6 months away, which is close, but it's also it's in that middle ground of being too close and too far. It's also more of a low budget movie, so they don't need to be marketing it so early. Want Two-Face villain in Batman Part 2. Dent is almost definitely in it. Will he be Two-Face? I don't know. What I'm saying is you get Matt Reeves that ain't going for comic accuracy, but a better movie, better writer, Nolan with The Dark Knight, not comic accuracy, but still one of the greatest films ever. Well, that's my biggest problem with the Nolan trilogy. Are they great movies? Sure. They are totally not comic accurate, and they have ruined the perception of Batman for the general public. Matt Reeves' The Batman is much more in line with the comics, not fully comic accurate, and I wish it was more comic accurate, because I am tired of these gritty, grounded, let's make Batman realistic movies when you don't have to be that to have a serious, deep, emotional story. I am very tired of this idea that Batman has to be grounded in reality, and only grounded in reality. And it's not, that doesn't mean that going that way automatically means a movie is better. I know people who enjoy Superman more than the Batman because it's just more their style, and that's okay. Your interest in your style is more along the lines of a Clayface or a Snyder or a Matt Reeves or Nolan, and that's fine. But the character of Superman is not a dark character. Hollywood Handle and Discussing Films are great accounts to keep up for the CinemaCon news. How are you liking them? Yeah, they're working well. They're working well. I typically have just Discussing Film up here. It's worked well before. They're working well now. Thank goodness. Yeah. Clayface is called a riveting horror thriller. The film looks to be similar to The Feet of Clay from Batman the Animated Series, spliced with a more brutal horror tone. Yeah, I mean, that's great inspiration. Great episodes. Peak Clayface for sure. Gillespie talks about taking Supergirl off Earth. He says they visit at least 6 different planets, and Millie had to speak in 5 different alien languages for the film. Wow, that's crazy. Jason Momoa refuses to answer who would win in a fight between Lobo and Aquaman and said that they should start a movie together. Who would win in a fight, Aquaman or Lobo? I think they should take one look at each other and have a few hundred beers and be like, I like this guy. Jason Momoa said we should make a movie together. Yeah, see, I mean, that's a funny joke, but, not Aquaman. As for Man of Tomorrow, I feel that we'll definitely make, like, the 750 mil just because of Superman and Supergirl movies. Yeah, I agree. I think it's coming off of high buzz with Superman. Supergirl seems to be really good, and will likely have some high buzz coming off of that as well. I agree. I think somewhere around 700 million, 750 is a good guess. That's where I'm landing to right now. The fact that the Clayface trailer song is Do You Realize, just like from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 SDCC trailer, OMG, I pray it's the final song in the trailer. No, Ray, really? I did not make those two connections. I just think those people who talk about the comic accuracy can't deny those are great films, but force themselves to hate them because of comic accuracy. You make a film for it to be good, not accurate. So you're missing the nuance in there, though. You're making it black and white. Honestly, like, first part, I have not seen anybody dislike the Nolan trilogy. That being said, as I said, those are great films. I really, 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 really enjoy those films. It is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. That doesn't mean I can't be upset that it's not comic accurate and ashamed to be a comic book movie. There's a nuance there. It's not black and white. The only people I've really seen dislike the Batman are diehard Snyder fans upset that it's not Ben Affleck. The fact that Anna Noguera, writer of Supergirl, is going to write the Teen Titans and Wonder Woman movies for the James Gunn DCU makes me excited. She must be a good writer. Yeah, for sure, for sure. That's what comic books are for. That's, I think, a bad way of looking at it. Because then just say, all right, use your own original characters then. That's what original writing is for. You know? Don't hijack characters that people have grown up with and beloved and look up to for your own little, you know, agenda. For your cynical worldview. I say that not to you, HM, to Zack Snyder's movies are so cynical and pessimistic about the world and humanity. And that's just not Superman and Batman. So if he made original movies with original characters, those are interesting movies, but why hijack these characters and fundamentally change them? What's the point of that? Because then they're no longer those characters. They're only those characters in name. That's what original movies are for. The only reason I'm enjoying the Batman as it is a grounded crime thriller because it's its own separate thing from wider DC universe. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's like I said, it's, in my opinion, the best DC movie. It's one of the best superhero movies of all time. But I can still be upset that it's once again another grounded, incredibly real Batman film that's not fantastical in any way. Like, if the Brave and the Bold, if the DCU Batman continues that route, then I'm pissed. Because, like, what is this about? Come on. I grew up with a fantastical Batman. Batman in the comics and everywhere else is fantastical. Why do we feel this need to be scared of having him face a dude made out of clay? Having him face a man-bat? You know? Why are we scared of all this stuff? Don't be scared for this stuff. Embrace it. Embrace the comics. Please. Clayface trailer would be most likely shown during Supergirl, but since it's a rated R movie, it would most likely be shown during Mortal Kombat May or Evil Dead July. Great observation. It's Z-Dragon. Great observation. Only Alcock says the audience will say, thank fuck I watched this in a cinema after leaving Supergirl. Yeah, I mean, I bet so. It looks great. Especially visually, it looks great. But yeah, I think it's a great observation. It's Z-Dragon. Mortal Kombat and Evil Dead are great guesses for where a Clayface trailer could originate and premiere. Panel's ending at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. It'll be 6:30 p.m. Pacific, give or take. Give or take. Might go a little later, depending on, I don't know how late they started. No more Clayface news, it seems like. Or trailer. Probably go because it's 3 a.m. and you need to sleep, so goodbye. Goodbye, Hasm. Thanks for tuning in, man. See you Thursday. Go get some rest. What's your top choice for DC's Batman for the upcoming Batman movie? I have two, and they're wildly different. I feel like I originated the Alan Richardson fan cast. I made a YouTube short like 3 or 4 years ago, saying Alan Richardson should be Batman, and then like 2 years later is when people actually started saying that. I still think that, by the way. However, I never thought I would say this. I honestly didn't. I was so against his fan cast. But then I watched the first episode of season 3 of Euphoria. Terrible. However, for whatever reason, something about Jacob Elordi's performance in that episode made me go, hold on a second. Maybe he could play Batman. He's only 4 years younger than David Corenswet. Looks-wise, they're pretty much the same age. Like, they look pretty much the same age. I wouldn't hate that either. So I'm going to say, and they're two wildly different versions, right? Alan Richardson is a much bigger and also much older Batman in comparison. But those are my two picks. Alan Richardson or Jacob Elordi. Which is crazy. So you'd be happy the Dark Knight never existed because he took the Batman characters and grounded them so people can enjoy a film at the movies and nothing has surpassed them since. No. I would have preferred them to be more comic accurate and not have been ashamed of being comic book movies. People can enjoy comic book movies. Almost every comic book movie is in some way, shape, or form not ashamed to be comic book movies. The Batman movie specifically, that Dark Knight trilogy, is one of the more egregious scenarios of these movies being ashamed to be comic book movies. I don't know what you're saying, that just because they are ashamed to be comic book movies, that makes it so people are more likely to enjoy them? That because they are ashamed to be comic book movies, it means that their writing automatically is better? Neither of that is true. Yes. But comic accurate or not, The Dark Knight is voted as one of the top 10 GOAT films. Yes. And I have said, if you were listening, I agree with that. It is one of the greatest movies of all time. It is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. I have said that over and over again. What you're missing is the nuance that can be true. I can believe that. And also be upset at the fact that it's not comic accurate and that it's a shame. It is straight up ashamed to be a comic book movie. Both things can be true at once. We've strayed so far from a Batman that can smile after fighting crime with the sun. Yes, that is my biggest issue and fear, is that when the DCU Batman eventually happens, right? And Batman has dry humor, and he's surrounded by the Bat family, and Robins, and Nightwing, and Dick Grayson, Alfred, Catwoman, Jason, Tim, Barbara, Damian. Naturally a more lighter tone than the Dark Knight trilogy because of all that combined. People that have never experienced all that and have only experienced the Dark Knight trilogy and the Batman are going to say, oh, look, they MCU-ified Batman, when that's just not the case. Batman has always had dry humor. Batman is not someone who broods 24/7. He's not soulless. They need to take inspiration from the Batman the Animated Series and the Arkham games. Those are the two best adaptations of Batman. If they take inspiration from those two projects and just adapt it into live action into the DCU, that's like a perfect Batman. Because those projects are still grounded and feel real and are serious and have an emotional connection and are layered and interesting, deep stories with good writing. And they're also fantastical. And they're so not ashamed. They embrace being comic book adaptations. Are you going to be there for the Paramount panel? I am not. Just for today for the DC, for Warner Brothers because of DC, and Thursday for Disney because of Marvel. Supergirl footage for attendees open to a Modest Mouse's satin in a coffin needle drop. Nice. You see Clayface? It seems like there won't be any Clayface trailer here. I love Zach's take on DC, but do I think it was the right idea to start it off that way? He did? No, but I still like what he did. Glad we got James Gunn now, though. I feel like he's starting off so far. Yeah, and that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed Zack Snyder's movies. Seen Ghostbusters? I've seen the original. Yeah, I had not seen Afterlife or Frozen Empire. I have seen the original. Original's pretty good. Snyder's DC is all right, but it should have been Elseworld movies, not mainline. Not lying. I fully agree. I've had that opinion for years. That if Snyder's movies were Elseworlds and not the mainline DC movies at the time, they would have been looked on so much more fondly. Because they would have been, from the get-go, been like, hey, this is not your mainline Batman or Superman. You have those characters already. I want to try my own thing here that's Elseworlds. People would look upon that much more fondly, I think. What's the DC movie coming out in March 2027? I don't think there is one right now. As far as I'm aware. Zack Snyder's films are completely cynical, and people who love his films, like Man of Steel, are cynical in themselves and have no hope for themselves or humanity, which is what Superman is supposed to do. Well, I'm not gonna say that about the people who like his movies. I don't think that's necessarily true. That's just a blanket statement about the people who like his movies. His movies are cynical, though. Man of Steel and BVS, when I watched them, I came out like, wow, this is really cynical and pessimistic. And they're projecting that worldview onto Superman and Batman when that's just not those characters. But I'm not going to say that people who like those movies are cynical. Don't think he's understanding that the Dark Knight trilogy are good movies, but bad comic movies. Yeah, exactly. And that doesn't make them bad movies at all. Can't wait to see Millie Alcock as Supergirl, especially after seeing her cameo in Superman. Same here, man. Seems like she's such good casting. She's such a good actress as well. Can't wait. DC Batman needs to embrace fantastical. Fully agree. 100% agree. I'm going to say Poison Ivy deserves another take on screen in the DCU. Oh, 100%. 100%. Also many of the great comics. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I just don't understand how someone could watch The Dark Knight and nod their heads and go, this isn't comic accurate, because it's not comic accurate. Again, two things can be true. The movie can be great, and it can also not be comic accurate. Bane is just a big dude. He's not someone on toxin. The Joker is just some dude. He's not someone who fell in a vat of acid and has all the other layers to him. Robin is just some cop named Robin. Like, Ra's al Ghul is a white guy. The Lazarus Pit is a deep pit, not a pit that resurrects people. It is so ashamed to be a comic book movie. But it's still great. Both things can be true. The DCU made Aquaman cool again to the general audience. To the general audience, yes. It's just a bad adaptation of Aquaman. For the DCU, Aquaman to the general audience, Aquaman was a joke because Super Friends. Yeah, and I hate Super Friends because of it. Oh, here we go. Footage for description for Supergirl. Sat in a coffin by Modest Mouse plays. Kara flies into space, tells the alien to stop singing and smoking. Kara saves Ruth from getting into altercation with another alien. Ruth following Kara. Pirate board ship. Oh. Alright, that tweet did not get expanded. Alright. That's all we're going to see, I guess, because the tweet did not get expanded. Apologies. I'm actually lit Batman, so I'm excited for the Batman Part 2, especially they got Scarlett Johansson and Sebastian Stan. If he's Harvey, gonna do great. Yeah, that's a great casting of Sebastian Stan as Harvey Dent, if he really is Harvey Dent. My dream cast for Poison Ivy in the DC was Sophia Carson. Interesting. Former Disney actress, has such a great sensual prance as well as very surprising emotional range. I haven't seen her in anything outside of Descendants, so I can't agree or disagree with you. I don't want to judge her just based on that. I know she's done more, but I'll just say it's an interesting choice. I haven't seen that one yet. Hiding the fact it's better than anyone has ever done in DC. No. Oh, no, sorry, I didn't read the full thing. I'll take it back. Hiding the fact that it's better than anyone has ever done in the DC, the difference is you have a good storyteller compared to someone going, let's make a bad film, bad writing, make it comic accurate. But see, that's just not the case. And this is also just the thing, too. Like, you, and this is general you, not just you specifically, HM. You not liking a movie or show doesn't automatically make it bad. I think that's such black and white terminology. Because stuff that you like, because art in itself is so subjective. It is so subjective. A movie or show, a book, a song, a comedian that you like, someone else won't like, or won't hit them the same way. And it doesn't automatically make the movie or show or the comedian or song or book that you like bad. It just means that they didn't like it. It's the same thing here. You may not like James Gunn's Superman, and that is totally okay. 100% okay. That's totally okay. But that doesn't automatically make it bad. You may think it's bad. You may not like it, and that is okay. But that doesn't make it an objective fact that it's bad. Superman, James Gunn's Superman, I found really enjoyable, and it really hit me in an emotional way. And so did it did for a lot of other people. And just because you don't like it doesn't make it bad. And same thing with Dark Knight Trilogy, right? If someone watches those movies and says they're bad and dislikes them, doesn't mean they're bad movies or that it's bad writing. It just means they didn't like it. Art is incredibly subjective. But we've gotten used to these days of making these blanket black and white statements about these franchises and art that it is destroyed any nuance to these discussions. The New 52 Aquaman run? Yeah, like Aquaman is a badass. And he's not serious all the time. He has fun. He jokes around. I mean, and he just had a crossover with Jeff the Land Shark. And that's really fun and cute. But he's also serious and badass. The casting of Jason Momoa was on paper a fantastic casting. The material given to him made him a joke. He made him just all brain, no brawn. Reverse that. All brawn, no brain. And that's just not the case at all. A new sequence for Supergirl shows Kara on an intergalactic bus that is raided by pirates, slowly kickstarting an action sequence. My dog's dying, so I don't really have time for this. It's going to be a good movie, I think. Really what, Perry? I don't think there is a March 2027 movie right now scheduled for the DCU. In the same way, making a good story doesn't automatically make it a good adaptation. Yeah, because at the end of the day, an adaptation is supposed to be at least emulate what made people like it. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Wiley OFC with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. Nice to have you here. Hope you're having a good day, man. I'm stressed out at TikTok verification. It's not working, so putting energy into something else to help. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Let's get some love in the chat for Wiley with a $5 super chat. Thank you. Hope you're having a great day. And sorry you're being stressed out with TikTok verification not working, but I hope the stream can at least ease that stress a little bit. Thank you. I appreciate it, my man. Let's say Nolan made a Superman then, and it's comic accurate also, and you have Gunn Superman comic accurate, which would be better? That's an impossible question, because just because both are on paper comic accurate doesn't make them both the same quality. It all comes down to execution and personal preference. They can both be comic accurate, and Nolan's can be better because it was made better. They can both be comic accurate, and Gunn's can be better because it's made better, and I just relate to that better and connect to that better. Again, you're thinking in black and white. You're not thinking in the nuance of it. Again, I'm not saying the Dark Knight trilogy is bad. I have said many times that it is one of the best trilogies of all time. But I'm saying that I just don't like that it's ashamed to be a comic book movie. Yes, I know the writers in style. I don't know the final product. I'll likely, if they both made a comic accurate Superman movie, I'd likely enjoy Christopher Nolan's more. Because Nolan's style I really enjoy, and I think overall I enjoy Nolan's style more than Gunn. But they're both very different styles. Nolan's style just doesn't fit a comic accurate Superman as much as Gunn's does. But it's also impossible to say because that doesn't exist. So it all comes down to execution, right? The best example for that is that on paper, a movie about Lego sounds like the dumbest idea in the world. The Lego movie is fantastic. It all comes down to execution. So even though they could both be comic accurate, one could be crap and the other could be great. Just because of how it's executed. The Aquaman New 52 run made me love the ocean crazy, as that is to say. No, I don't think that's crazy to say at all. I think it made the ocean interesting. I think that, especially if that was something that you were exposed to at an early age, yeah, I think that's not crazy to say at all. DC Studios might be finished already, because now that it seems like they moved on to Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock are now on stage to talk about Practical Magic 2, which isn't DC. I'm gonna stay live as long as the panel is happening. So maybe there'll be more, but it seems like that might be it for DC. What's up, Jaeger? Now, Tyler, thanks for tuning in. Says you can open New Rockstars too. Eric Ross at the event live tweeting. I think New Rockstars is doing their own live stream similar to this. So because of that, I don't want to have their tweets on screen in case there's any kind of copyright issues there, because they're doing a similar live stream. But thank you for the suggestion, Jaeger. I appreciate it. Any opinions on Lanterns? Not really. I think it's gonna be a really good show. I think Lanterns actually, based off the trailer now, might be different once the actual product is out there. But based off the trailer, it feels kind of similar to The Dark Knight, in the sense that it looks like it's going to be a fantastic show, but the trailer makes it look like it's not embracing the comics as much as it should, or as much as people would like, myself included, being a big Green Lantern fan. Now, it's just one teaser trailer for an 8-episode show, so there's so much that we haven't seen of it yet. So I'm going to hold off on any strong opinions until the show is out. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a fantastic show. Just, I'm concerned about the lack of green and Green Lanterns and cosmic stuff in it. But again, just a trailer. So, who knows? Now that I think about, I have not seen any DCU stuff yet, but I'm still looking forward to the projects that we're probably, maybe, I'd recommend watching Superman. It's really good. At the very least. I never know if a comic accurate Nolan movie would be good because it never made one. Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be really good, right? But also based off of Nolan's style, it wouldn't be comic accurate, Gun sensibilities work so much more for me. Like, I rewatched Superman 5 times after I saw it on IMAX. Yeah, I've seen it, I think I've also seen it 4 or 5 times. Around there. Flashpoint Productions, nice to have you tuning in. Welcome. Says, have you seen the newly announced DCU Hellblazer movie? Tomer Capone has been cast as John Constantine. I don't think that's real. I have not heard of that. I've not seen it anywhere, unless it got announced like within the past hour and a half. Then I don't think it's real. It's because he wouldn't write filler scenes, like when Lex Luthor is telling them to hit B12 or B3 or something like that when he's fighting Superman, he'd give him better dialogue. That's not... Oh, that's not filler. That's not filler. That's just the scene happening. Yeah, I don't. That's also fine dialogue. I mean, the whole point is that he engineered Ultraman to be able to beat Superman, because Lex Luthor doesn't have brawn, he has brains, so he can't fight Superman one-on-one. So he created a Superman of his own to fight Superman, and as an easy, efficient, quick way to control Ultraman into being able to fight Superman, he made quick commands, a letter and a number, and then Ultraman knows exactly what move to do. I don't know if that's lazy or bad writing. It's definitely not filler. The only DCU casting I hated was Jared Leto as Joker. Not saying he's bad, but again, his casting was not good. So how did DCU get Joker casting right? Yeah, I think they will get the Joker casting right. I don't know if they'll rush into the Joker necessarily, but I think they'll get it right. I think Lanterns will embrace the material from the comics, but maybe storyline-wise, they have to get there. I think, yeah, I think the realistic, I'm trying to think of words. The realistic scenario with Lanterns is that it does embrace the comics and the colors and the powers and the other core and the space stuff. It just wasn't shown in the trailer. Like, that's the realistic answer. But the nuance of it is, even though that's probably the realistic answer, it's still possible. It's still okay to be upset that, hey, we didn't get any look of that at all in this. Both things can be true at once. I saw the Hellblazer announcement in New Rockstars live streams. Okay, interesting. Let me pull up a different tab here and look it up. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about it anywhere. Hellblazer. News. Yeah, I don't see anything about it here anywhere. So I don't know if that's real or not. I just think the comic book fandom will take comic accuracy over having a good film. Gunn made Superman Guardians of the Galaxy and the box office proves that. No, I mean, that's just the thing. Like, that's just not how it is. You just don't like Superman, and that's okay. Like, the movie, I'm not saying the character. Like, you just don't like the movie, and that's fine. That doesn't mean people are ignoring a bad whatever, writing whatever for comic accuracy, because most people don't think Superman is badly written or is a bad movie. You disagree, and that is okay. It's okay to not like something that other people enjoy, and vice versa. It's okay to enjoy something that people don't. He didn't make Guardians of the Galaxy. It's very not similar to Guardians of the Galaxy. There's similarities, because they're made by the same person, but they're not the same. Hot take, but the Suicide Squad is the best DC movie in your opinion. Maybe a hot take, but I mean, not a bad take. And again, just like I was saying, with Superman, art is super subjective. So that's great, man. I'm happy that you like it that much. I'm glad. I'm just gonna do a quick reload here. I know I said it reloads on its own. Oh, all right. But cool. No, I mean, the Suicide Squad is great. I rewatched it last summer. Before Peacemaker Season 2. Great film. And last thing I'll say about this, I don't want to continue the, whatever, but when someone grows up with a character and there's precedent for that character and how that character should act, what the character believes, and someone makes a project with that character and doesn't deliver on the most basics of what that character is, that's an issue. See, the Dark Knight trilogy does. That's where it differs from, let's say, Zack Snyder's Superman. Well, while the Dark Knight trilogy is not comic accurate, it still delivers on the basics of what Batman is and what he represents and stands for and believes in. That's the difference. That's why people look at, well, other than the fact that it is just better movies, but that's the big difference between why people don't like Zack Snyder's Superman and they do like Christopher Nolan's Batman. Is because Christopher Nolan didn't change the fundamentals of Bruce Wayne or Batman as a character. He just made it super grounded and realistic in the real world. And any of the fantastical comic book side of it, wasn't there. But it's still Batman. That's still Bruce Wayne, He still has no kill rule. He still believes in the good of people, in helping people, in being selfless, right? It's still Batman at the core. That's what's important. Gun style suited Suicide Squad. It did. It did. It suited Suicide Squad, but the style for Suicide Squad and his style in Superman are two different styles too. I really don't like Superman in the comics, but it was your favorite comic movie of last year. That's great. I'm glad. I haven't. Well, no, that's not true. I haven't read many Superman comics recently, but yeah, typically I was never the biggest Superman fan or the biggest Batman fan for that matter. But yeah, last year Superman was easily my favorite movie. Just favorite movie last year. I love that movie so much. The Dark Knight trilogy is the GOAT. People don't care about the comic accuracy. Well, see, again, we're just going in circles here, and that's okay. But people do care about comic accuracy. But they ignore it. It doesn't matter with the Dark Knight trilogy because it's for a lot of people, it's a couple of things. For a lot of people, when they first think of Batman, they think of the Dark Knight trilogy. That's a lot of people's first exposure to Batman or main exposure to Batman, right? So to them, when they think Batman, they think the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, people who that's not the case, where they've been exposed to the comics and the Batman animated series and whatever before the Dark Knight, they watch the Dark Knight And they still might think, like, yeah, you know, it could have been more comic accurate, but it's still pretty good because at the end of the day, they're well-made movies, and Batman is still Batman. Like, that's the big thing. He's still Batman. Nolan didn't change the fundamental core of Batman. And that is all that matters at the end of the day. You keep the fundamental core of the character and then do your own thing. Nolan understood that, and that's what he did. But also, let's not ignore the fact that people since 2012 and still to this day dislike and complain over the portrayal of Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, and Bane. Like, that has been a thing since the movie came out. By the way, both Tyler Hoechlin and David Cornswell are now my favorite Superman. Me too. Ezra Tulloch and Rachel Brosnahan are favorite Lois Lane. Yeah, me too. Superman and Lois is such an underrated show. It's such a good show. I had to finish it, but man, it's just a great show. I mean, it modernizes Superman in a way. It modernizes Superman and doesn't change who he is. He's still Superman. He's still Clark Kent. This is still Lois Lane. He just modernizes him and makes him a family man in a way that we haven't seen before, and it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, Superman, the movie is great as well. I would also highly recommend My Adventures with Superman, the animated show. There's 2 seasons. I've only seen the first one and a little bit of the second one. They're making a third one. Jack Quaid voices Superman. Another fantastic adaptation of Superman. Another fantastic adaptation. The first season for Practical Magic 2 sees the duo reintroduce how everyone they love dies. It's not great for Tinder Brio. I never heard of Practical Magic. And there's a sequel to this. Tom Hardy being Bane was up there with Heath and Joker. Hey, if you believe that, that's awesome. I think he's fine. Like it's for what it is, it works. But like, let's not ignore the fact that people have complained since the beginning about that and about Liam Neeson being Ra's al Ghul and the portrayal of Talia al Ghul. Like those 3 castings and characters are the biggest complaints people have about those movies and have since they released. So people do care about comic accuracy. But again, the core of Joker, the core of Two-Face, the core of Jim Gordon, of Alfred, of Bruce Wayne, Batman, of Joker, and of Scarecrow were all there in the other characters. So yeah, people overlook it, and that's fine. They should. But, you know, people still have complaints about The Dark Knight Rises, especially. You may not, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. I love The Dark Knight Rises. I really do. It's up there for me in my favorite comic book movies. But, like, you know, there's nuance to it. I mentioned Superman Bro knows Ball. Hey, man, I try. I haven't finished it, so I haven't finished Ball, but I'm aware of it. There was a scene in one of the episodes of The Boys that just came out where it really made me go, you know, I really got to finish. I really got to finish My Adventures Superman because it's just so good. The news is kind of slowing down a little bit because I think we're nearing the end of the panel. That's okay. Show me the people complaining about Bane. I mean, not off the top of my head, you can't pull anything up. It's out there. It exists. Like, a lot of people like it. I think it's fine. I don't dislike it. You might like it, and that's great. If you haven't seen the live-action One Piece, you should. It's great because it's the best live-action adaptation of an anime and the manga. I might. I've been thinking about it. I don't know. I plan on watching the remake anime that comes out, I think, next year. So I don't know if I want to watch the live action before then and kind of spoil myself on the story. We'll see. I've had heard good things about it, though. J.J. Abrams is on stage to talk about his new film, The Great Beyond. Literally everyone says it's a bad adaptation. Well, okay. Now you're also generalizing. Not literally everyone. again, there is nuance to this. This debate has been relinquished to just blanket statement after blanket statement, and without any nuance to it. Not everyone thinks it's a bad Bane adaptation. Not everyone thinks it's a good Bane adaptation. It is the most divisive adaptation and movie of the Nolan trilogy for sure. I just use it as the example of people not caring about comic accuracy when it comes to Nolan movies. But also, like I said, at the end of the day, the big thing of the Nolan trilogy that people overlook the fact that the rest of the movie isn't comic accurate is the fact that it's still Batman. They still feel like Batman movies. The character is still Batman. It still feels like Batman. And the character that people grew up with and love. That's the big thing. I know what you mean, but it is a little hyperbolic for this discussion. The One Piece live action is pretty good. Me personally, saw the anime first before watching the live action version. Yeah, I bet the anime is great. I really do, but I can't commit to 1,000 episodes of something, especially when I hear that a lot of the pacing's not great. I just can't. But I bet it's great. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that it's good. And I'm excited for the remake to come out so I can experience it. Lisa Reinhold, hello. Welcome. Nice to have you. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you're having a good day. Yeah, pacing is an issue. Yeah, I've seen some memes about the pacing, and it kind of makes me go, no way that's the actual pacing of it. Like, if those memes are the actual pacing of it, then I definitely don't want to watch the original anime. I actually heard that Adria Arjona, James Gunn's, and everyone's top choice for Wonder Woman, so if she actually is Wonder Woman in Superman Man of Tomorrow, I bet she'll be great. Yeah, I mean, she's my top choice. No matter who gets cast as Wonder Woman in the DCU, I think they'll be great. But I would not complain about Adria Arjona at all as Clayface. Not Clayface, sorry, I was reading the chat. As Wonder Woman. When we see Clayface trailer, seems like not today. Which is fine. Like I said, at most I was expecting that, but realistically I wasn't going in expecting anything from this. Earlier, someone mentioned that prime candidates for when the Clayface trailer will release are, let me see, was Evil Dead, and there was one in the movie, Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat comes out next month, and Evil Dead comes out in July. Clayface releases in October, so we're about 6 months away, give or take. Since it's a lower budget movie, it can wait a little bit until they start marketing. So having the Clayface is also an R-rated movie, so it having a trailer with Mortal Kombat, an R-rated movie in May, or also Evil Dead, an R-rated movie in July, makes sense. So it could be one of those, most likely. It could also be, I can also see it being maybe, again, this is my speculation, I don't know. It could be with Mortal Kombat, and then they attach a trailer, a Green Band trailer to Supergirl, since they're both DC movies. The Red Band with Mortal Kombat, Green Band at with Supergirl, but they could also just wait till July to attach it with Evil Dead. Is Super Mario 3 movie confirmed? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not too privy on that world, on that franchise. Not my thing. So, but I don't think so. Play Marvel Rivals? I do play Marvel Rivals. Black Cat comes out this week. Very interesting. Joaquin and the Joker. I think it's a great performance, for sure. I don't love it because it felt like they wanted to make this original movie and then just tacked on the Joker and DC stuff afterwards to make money. And that rubs me the wrong way. Now, Joker is my favorite, second favorite villain of all time after Darth Vader, favorite comic book villain of all time. I've only seen the first Sonic movie. I thought it was fine. I haven't seen the others. Again, not my thing. But yeah, I've also been overall very unhappy with Joker adaptations in live action. Heath Ledger Joker obviously being the best, but even then there's pieces of it missing that I would wish to see in future Joker adaptations. And this being the most recent Joker adaptation, I know technically there's, the Batman one and the deleted scene, which I thought was pretty interesting. But yeah, it felt like they just they wanted to make this movie about this guy, and then was like, you know what? This won't make money. We don't think this will make money otherwise. Let's call it Joker and have it set in Gotham, and then it'll make money. And it did. It worked. So I can't really blame him for it necessarily, but I can acknowledge that it's a well-made movie, and it's a good performance, but it's just not for me, because I have no interest in humanizing the Joker in any way, and it just wasn't Joker. It didn't feel like Joker at all. There's also the possibility of an animated project from Marvel Rivals. Dude, that'd be amazing. I love the art style from Marvel Rivals. I mean, they're all voice actors, right? I would love it. I would love it. Jason Momoa rides onto the CinemaCon stage on Lobo's Space Hog. That's awesome. I love how much fun he's having with this role. I really do. Good for him. First footage for J.J. Abrams' The Great Beyond is now being showcased. Nerdy Mastermind, hello there, what's going on? It's everything tuning in. Says, wouldn't July be kind of late for a teaser for Clayface? Not really, actually. I know studio marketing has changed over the years, and they wait until the movie is a lot closer to release to start a heavy push. Yeah, that is true also. In recent years, they've started to decrease the amount of time before the movie that marketing starts. For Clayface, a more low-budget horror movie, low-budget being the key there, low-budget horror movie, they don't need to start marketing it, 6 months out, as we are now. July being, like 3 or 4 months, depending on, when in July, before the movie releases. I don't think that's not crazy for a more low budget sort of thing. Especially too, if they really want to push Supergirl, then they might not want to release a lot of footage for the scary DC movie beforehand. That might turn off a lot of parents, perhaps, from bringing their children to Supergirl, confusing the fact that, like, oh, that's a DC movie, looks scary, I don't want to take my child to any DC movie, Which, obviously, is not true, but it could be what happened. So they might want to just really focus on the more Supergirl, colorful DC right now, and then once that's come and gone, once that is released, then shift focus to maybe more mature stuff like Lanterns and Clayface. Do you like Marvel or DC? I like both. This is a channel for both Marvel and DC. Grew up with both. Love both to this day. Dune 3 is now being showcased. W. Have you seen the Marvel Legends Marvel Rivals figure? It looks like dope. It looks dope. Glad we were getting more figures in that game. I have not. Look it up right now. Marvel Legends Marvel Rivals. Oh, was it just announced today? Oh, man. I don't want to spend more money on stuff right now. Look at that. Oh, that Punisher figure is great. Moon Knight. That Moon Knight figure's fine. The face on the Moon Knight figure might not be great, in my opinion. I can skip the Moon Knight. Yeah, Spidey and Luna. They look alright. Venom looks great. And then you got Jeff, the mascot. Yeah, that's fire. That's really cool. Isabella Merced was great as Hawkgirl. Yeah, definitely. Love Isabella Merced. Man. After seeing her as Dina in Last of Us, she's fantastic in that. And the fact that she filmed both at the same time, wow. What an accomplished actress. She even said it was worth it. Yeah, oh, yeah, it looks totally worth it. She was great in Last of Us Season 2. Yeah, she's great. Big fan of Isabella Merced. Can you understand what I'm explaining, though? The purpose of a film is to be watched and enjoyed. The comic fandom is the minority who will take a bad film and enjoy it because it's comic accurate. Sure, yes. No, like, totally, I understand where you're coming from there, but my counter argument to that is then just make a good movie. Like, just make an original movie then. Like, then, in that point, what's the point of using these comic characters that people have an attachment to and love for a reason, but then only using them for their brand recognition and totally changing who the character is? That's my counter argument to that. Like naturally, there's going to be changes from comics to film, from comics to show, because they're different mediums. 1,000%, there's going to be changes. Like there can never be and will never be a one-to-one adaptation of a character or of a story from comic to live action. That's just almost impossible, right? So what matters is you keeping the core of the character and then doing whatever you want with him in whatever way you want that way. And again, that's why the Dark Knight trilogy is look well again one of the many reasons outside of the fact that they're just fantastic, masterful movies, is that Batman is still Batman at the core. He didn't change who Batman is at his core, and what he believes in and stands for, right? And that's what's most important. But you're right in the sense that, you know, you shouldn't be trying to just make a comic live action because they're different mediums. The dialogue in comics does not work when said out loud in live action, for the most part, like 99% of the time. You know, one line here and there, I think works, like as like an homage or whatever. And because, you know, there are lines in comics that would work spoken out loud, but you know, you can't do a 1-to-1 live action adaptation of this stuff, of these things. But that doesn't mean it's okay to just change everything about these characters and these worlds and these stories, everything about them that people love for a reason, just for the sake of doing something new, when you don't have to do that to make good movies. And you're just upsetting people who grew up with these characters that mean something to them. In that case, just make an original movie. Because at that point, you're only doing it for the money and for the cash grab of it. Does that make sense? Denis Villeneuve is on stage to talk about Dune Part 3. Denis Villeneuve says that Dune Part 3 is a thriller with much more emotion. Denis Villeneuve describes Dune Part 3 as a thriller that is more fast-paced, action-packed, and emotional than the previous two films. I haven't read the books, but I think Dune Messiah is a shorter book, so that makes sense. I'm excited for it. I really am. The first two Dune movies are wonderful. Hopefully Lobo comes with the main man and Supergirl. We'll see. I got work to get done before I'm bed, so I'm head out. Have a good one, guys. Have a good one, Shin. Thanks for tuning in, man. Nice to have you here. Appreciate it. Is it true that we're getting official trailer for Avengers Doomsday in 2 days? No. Okay. The real answer is we don't know. In 2 days is the Disney CinemaCon panel. I will be doing a live stream for that as well. It is very likely that the people in attendance will see footage for Avengers Doomsday. It is unclear if the public will get that footage. I'm leaning towards no. I'm leaning towards we are not going to get footage and a trailer to the public on Thursday in 2 days. But it is still possible, which is why I'm doing a live stream on Thursday, just in case it is. However, it is not confirmed. It has not been announced. It is not confirmed that the public is getting a Avengers Doomsday trailer in 2 days. Also, the Blocks Model Kits Marvel Rivals figure. Glad there's options now when it comes to figures to the game. That's cool. That's pretty cool. Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, and Jason Momoa are now on stage to talk about Doom Part 3. Nice. Seeing fans freak out online over no Batman Part 2 update at the presentation, Warner Bros. Did highlight their 2027 slate and no mention of Batman 2 is very suspicious. I don't think it is. Hopefully not another delay. Nah, I don't think it's suspicious at all. It comes out in December. There's no reason to talk about it. The only thing they had for Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum is the cast, and that starts filming soon. We already know all the big cast members for the Batman. Not all, like not literally every single one, but most of them for the Batman. But like, there's no other reason to really give an update on it, because it doesn't come out till October. There's a whole nother CinemaCon between now and the release of the Batman Part 2. So I don't think I don't think there's any reason to be, concerned. But Batfleck will have the best Batman fight scene ever. He does for now, for sure. That warehouse fight scene, if you ignore the fact that Batman is killing these people, is really well choreographed. 100%. What about killing a scarecrow? I think it's the same thing, where it's a really great performance and there's aspects of the character, but like, I'm not saying he's not one of my favorite live action comic book villains, but I'll also just straight up say that I haven't been exposed to a lot of Scarecrow content. So I think it works for the world that Nolan is playing in, and with the villains, it's not as important as the heroes, as Batman and Superman. It's fine. And for example as well is to go along with this killing Murphy as Scarecrow is Paul Dano's Riddler. fantastic Riddler, fantastic performance, fantastically written and really interesting. Is that comic accurate? Hell no. But it doesn't matter because, well, I would like to see a more comic accurate Riddler. Let me make that clear. I would love to see a more comic accurate Riddler of the DCU. But it's not a Riddler movie. It's a Batman movie. Batman feels like Batman in the Batman, and that's what's most important. And the Riddler still has mysteries. He's still kind of a lunatic. He's still kind of crazy, right? So there's still those fundamental core aspects of the Riddler there. With Scarecrow, Scarecrow still uses fear toxin. He still has a scary mask, right? That's a pumpkin sack or a potato sack. He's still a doctor, right? So it's okay. If that makes sense. I was really excited for the Avatar: Last Airbender movie till Paramount decided to make it a streaming, which is a mistake. Hope they bring it back to theaters, though I doubt they will. I agree with you. I would love to see that on the big screen. Right here, Timothy Chalamet says Paul is becoming his worst nightmare in Dune Part 3. He's struggling to retain the parts of himself he sees the most, still trying to protect his family while becoming the Dark Emperor. I'm really excited to see the take on Paul Atreides in Dune Part 3 from where it was headed before. I think it's going to be a really interesting character dissection. So what you're saying is those who grew up with the comics can sit there and watch the Dark Knight trilogy, be upset because something in there isn't comic accurate. Yes. Because and I think they're justified in that because there's precedent for Batman to be acting a certain way and his characters to be a certain way. And if you make a Batman movie, by using Batman, you're kind of promising that at the very least, it's going to feel like Batman, right? So if you go to that and it doesn't feel like Batman, then you're justified in not liking it. Now, again, like I said, the Dark Knight trilogy, he does feel like Batman. There are other things about it that, I don't like. I don't like the fact that the Lazarus pit is just some big pit, albeit fantastic sequence of Bruce Wayne climbing out of the pit. But like, that's your Lazarus pit? Okay, you are ashamed to be a comic book movie. But, I can still say that's a fantastic movie. I just don't like that choice. There's nuance to it. When do we get Sonic the Hedgehog 4 future trailer suggestion? Not at all. Again, I'm not in that world. I don't understand. I'm not in that fan base, so no clue. This is my argument. You there to watch a film. You're not there to read a comic. You're denying the film of its greatness because something not coming accurate. No. You're there to see the characters. I agree. You're not there to read a comic. That's why you don't adapt them one-to-one. You're there to experience the character that you love from the comic. So if that character no longer feels like the character from the comic, that's an issue, right? So again, that's why when people watch the Dark Knight trilogy, they don't have an issue with it because it still feels like Batman. But when you watch Batman v Superman, it doesn't feel like Superman. It doesn't feel like Batman. That's the difference. They're not there because it's a film. They're there for these characters that have a precedent on who they are and their core fundamental values. That's the difference. If I go to a Spider-Man movie and Spider-Man is killing people, that's not good because that's not Spider-Man. If I go to a Punisher movie and Punisher's handing out lollipops to criminals, that's not good. That's not a Punisher movie, That's the difference. They're fundamentally changing the core aspects of characters is not okay. But do whatever the hell you want with them outside of that. I like the Batman does, like Nolan trilogy does. I want there to be more comic accurate Batman movies because I want to see fantastical Batman that we haven't seen before. But that doesn't mean I dislike the Batman or I dislike the Dark Knight trilogy. It's not black and white. The first 7 minutes of Doom Part 3 are now being shown at CinemaCon. Wow, lucky them. That's likely the last thing, I would guess. Do you like Final Destination movie? Because I haven't heard much about Final Destination 7 movie. I know it's confirmed. I have not watched any of them, so I'm not a fan of that franchise. The fact that they have filmed The Odyssey, Spider-Man, Brand New Day, and Doom Part 3, Euphoria Season 3, and some How got cast for Shrek 5? Like, how is she able to do all that at the same time? Well, yeah, the Odyssey and Brand New Day, I think she has, and Doom or 3, I think she all kind of just has a small role in each. So I think that's probably how. And Shrek 5, but, just a voice role. But yeah, she is working. She is working. Will DC make new Wonder Woman and Aquaman for new DC Universe? Oh yeah, they definitely will. How soon? We don't know, but they definitely will. Well, to me, it feels like Batman, but it was said he has been Batman for years, so he is more violent. Well, that's the thing. Like, there is a justification for Batman dying in that movie. Or not dying, sorry. Batman killing in that movie, but the thing is that Batman, like, a fundamental part of Batman is that he doesn't kill. And Batman, like, his mind is unbreakable, right? So, when in this movie, he breaks his code just because an alien shows up and he's hardened. That's not Batman. It's a cynical take on Batman, but Batman's not meant to be cynical. Batman becomes Batman so that no one will ever have to go through what he does, what he went through, as a child losing his parents. That is the reason for him becoming Batman. That is a core fundamental aspect of his character. But then there's a line in BVS where Batman goes, my parents showed me that the world is cruel, or that the world, well, I forgot the exact line, but it's like, it just, the total antithesis of Batman. That's the difference. He can be a little more violent, that's fine. It's when he kills. Batman is the most notorious superhero that does not kill. Batman and Spider-Man are the two most notorious characters that do not kill. Like, that is fundamental to their characters. Fundamental to their characters. Opinion on the complaint that DC is off to a slow start and that James hasn't given us any new movie announcements post-Man tomorrow. I think it's a dumb complaint. Because, people complain about the MCU rushing or making too much content, and then now when the DCU actually takes its time to make stuff, they complain about it not being enough. When we just got Future Commandos, Peacemaker, and Superman, and now we're about to get Supergirl, and Clayface, and Lanterns all this year. Like, I think it's a stupid complaint. People who watch the Dark Knight trilogy wasn't there to see if it's comic accurate. They're there in hopes it's a good film. You pay to watch a film. Most viewers don't read the comics. That's a minority. Okay. But that doesn't discredit the comic book fans that go to this comic book film to enjoy their comic book character that they love from the comics. If you title a film a Batman movie, if you call the character Batman, if you call the character Bruce Wayne, and he doesn't act like Bruce Wayne or Batman, then what was the point of calling it Batman? Why not just make an original film then? Will they make a new Justice League movie? Probably. Not anytime soon. Like maybe 5-7 years from now. But probably. I'd be surprised if they don't. Well, I wish we see what happened in that 20 years to mess him up that much. Well, that's the thing. Like, he wouldn't be messed up that much. But seeing him get messed up would make it more interesting. But again, another fundamental part of Batman is that he endures all this and doesn't break. There's a great, I'm paraphrasing, and I'm not quoting directly, but there's that line in Under the Red Hood when he's talking to Red Hood about, there's no kill rule. And Red Hood's like, what, it'd be too hard to kill the Joker? And Batman's like, no, it'd be too damned easy. Like, that is the fundamental core of Batman. That is the fundamental core of Batman. I would love a revival of OG Teen Titans show because there were some unanswered questions like, was that really Tara? Does she actually remember Beast Boy but tries to keep him safe? Yeah, like, I haven't watched that original show. I know it ends on that cliffhanger. For the fans of that show, I would love for it to get picked up for at least one more season to end, that cliffhanger. But, I don't know, it doesn't look likely. Does not look likely. Quick question for MCU. Will they have Phase 7 after Phase 6? Will Marvel continue the storyline? There will be a Phase 7. Continue the storyline, I don't know. It sounds like there'll be some, like, a soft reboot for the MCU after Secret Wars. I don't know what that means for continuing any storyline necessarily, but there will still be an MCU after Secret Wars. Yeah, after Phase 6. What I think would be a great idea if James Gunn started with the Justice League film, had them lose, then use the Flash idea to go back and warn them, and then start the solo films. Then that makes that film useless then, Like, what's the point of that film? They just lose, and then, like, oh, Barry, go warn us, and then that's it. Like, there's no character to that. There's no core to that. You go to Justice League for the characters, You're interested in these characters and how they interact. not just the fact that it's Justice League, right? So, like, if you start with an Avengers, if you start with the Justice League, then you go into these movies not attached to these characters at all, not caring for these characters at all, you know? Like, when Superman dies in BVS, I don't really care because I'm not invested in the Superman, you know? I like Superman as a character, but I'm not invested in this Superman. So it's the same thing with that movie. Like, I like Batman and Superman and Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Flash and Martian Manhunter, but I don't care about what's going on because I'm not invested in these characters yet. You know, you can have the greatest action scene in the world, but if I don't care about the characters or what's going on, it doesn't really matter. You know, it's just flashy at that point. No pun intended. If they make a Flash and Aquaman movie for the DC, would like to play them. The Flash, I would like. I think his name Lucas Till, the actor who played Havoc in X-Men First Class. Yes, Lucas Till. I want Lucas Till to play Barry Allen. I think he'd be a great Barry. Well, I don't say I want him. He's my fan cast for Barry Allen, and my Aquaman fan cast. See, this isn't original. I don't really have a main Aquaman fan cast. I saw this one online, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. Is Aaron Taylor Johnson? I think he'd be a great Aquaman. Coincidentally, they're both the same age. I just looked them up. Lucas Till and Aaron Taylor Johnson are both the same age. But yeah, off the top of my head, those are my two fan casts for those characters. Raises the stakes and then sets up a different structure than to Justice League 2. I mean, yeah, it sets up a different structure, but it doesn't necessarily raise any stakes because the stakes aren't set up in the first place. There really are no stakes going into it because not only because you're setting up these characters for the first time, you're setting up this world for the first time. Like, there's really no stakes to be had yet, and then they lose, right? There's no real stakes there. Like, what makes the ending of Infinity War with them losing so great is that it wasn't the first movie. Is that we are already attached to this storyline and all these characters. So when they lose, it's a gut punch. Then it does raise the stakes. You know, half of these people die. That raises the stakes. If Infinity War was the first movie, no one would care about the ending. It'd be like, oh, okay. Well, all right. Yes, let's go to the next one next year, maybe. No one would care because there's no stakes in the first place. There's no emotional attachment in the first place. Sometimes you have to change characters for some media. You can't have characters violently killing people in a cartoon that kids can watch. Or sometimes some characteristics can't work in modern media, like the Jackal touch and Gwen Stacy. Yes, no, you are correct, 100%. 100%. It's why when Deadpool or Punisher show up in an animated show like Ultimate Spider-Man or the Spider-Man animated series, you know, they're not brutally killing people or cursing, but that's okay. Because if, you know, for that medium, it's fine. Because they're kid shows. Avengers Secret Wars Part 1 or 2. Right now, there's no official announcement. Right now, it seems like it's just one movie, Avengers Secret Wars, no Part 1 or 2. When I'm saying they're just copying the Marvel formula, they could have done something different. No, they're not copying the Marvel formula. They're just doing what makes sense story-wise. If that was the first Justice League movie, that would not be received well, and everything just to crap. Just because Marvel made solo movies leading up to Avengers doesn't mean they're copying the formula. That's not a formula, you know? The comics did that too. They're copying the comics formula. The comics didn't start with the Justice League and then branch off to Batman or Superman or Aquaman or Wonder Woman comics. You had Batman, you had Superman, you had Wonder Woman, you had Aquaman. And then they all came together. Whoa. That's crazy. They're not copying the Marvel formula. They're just doing what makes sense because they know that you can't go right into Justice League. There's no point if people don't care about these characters. I think James and Peter want more distance before they give Flash and Aquaman solo movies. They don't want you to remember the previous version, especially the Flash 2023. Yeah, you're probably right. And I think this makes sense. That makes the most sense. As much as I want to see Barry Allen, the Flash, and Aquaman as soon as possible, I think it makes sense, logistically. Oh, let's freaking go. Doom Part 3 opens with a bloody and brutal battle sequence set on a rainy planet with Emperor Paul's army led by Stilgar. An Aegon's Conquest movie is officially in the works. Let's freaking go. That's hype. idea of just a League losing a Flash warning in the League was already done in the Snyder Cut Justice League. That too. But even then, like, they built up multiple movies to it, you know? Multiple movies to it. So on your dream team for the DC Justice League, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman. I feel you got to have another woman in there as well. Hawkgirl, maybe? Yeah, Hawkgirl and Jon Stewart. So pretty much well, I like Hal Jordan as a character more than Jon Stewart, but I haven't watched the Justice League animated show where a lot of people got, you know, their love for Jon Stewart from. But pretty much the Justice League animated show plus Aquaman. I'm just a big Aquaman fan, so that's why Aquaman is there for me. Do you think we will get Spider-Man crossover with Venom, Morbius, Kraven the Hunter movie? No, I do not, and thank goodness for that. But isn't Gunn just recreating Snyder version, but more comic accurate? Have you seen the people complaining about Gunn's dark side and the way he looks? Well, yes, I have, and that's ridiculous because that's a amusement park ride. Not even amusement park. It's like that's like an amusement park ride. You know, that's stupid complaints. That's such a stupid complaints. But also Darkseid being used is not copying Snyder. Darkseid is a character that existed far before Snyder. 2, it's a CGI ride. Absolutely ridiculous that people are complaining about that in the first place. Absolutely ridiculous. 3, isn't Gunn just recreating Snyder version but more comic accurate? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. The way I'm looking at it right now, no. I'm not getting that feeling at all. But if you are, you know, that's fine. But I don't think he's copying Snyder's vision, just more comic accurate. That's not the feeling I'm getting from it. Somehow seeing the vision, David Cornsmith, Jacob Elordi, Aaron Pierre, Lucas Till, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Adria Arjona, and Elizabeth Merced as possible Justice League movie. I can see it. See, I'm cooking, man. I'm cooking. But yeah, you list all those people out. Like, that's fire, bro. That is a terrific Justice League lineup there. Man. Hire me, James Gunn. Zach Krager has announced his new film is a sci-fi called The Flood for Warner Brothers in theaters August 11, 2028. 2028? Whoa. All right, I want more about this, though. Who's writing it? Who's directing it? Who's starring in it? That's exciting. I also think James will 1,000% write and direct the first DC Justice League film. I agree that I think he will. I don't know if it's a 1,000%, though. For this exact reason, I think, because, and this isn't me taking dig at all, HM. It's just there are other people out there that agree that, you know, they don't want James Gunn to make like every big DC film, and that is fair. So I think because of that, James Gunn might be aware of that and think, okay, you know what? I'm not going to do Justice League because I don't want, you know, that bad publicity, people to, you know, to be, for my handprint to be everywhere, right? But I could also see him going, hey, look, I have a vision for this chapter, right? Gods and Monsters, I think it's called. If it does bad, the blame is only on me because I wrote and directed it. So I'm going to take it in my own hands, and if it does bad, I take full responsibility for it. You know, I think either one is likely. I think it's more likely the second one, where I agree with you. He does probably do it, but, you know, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion yet. Is FNAF 3 movie confirmed? I think so. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that franchise, so I'm not as in the know, but I think it is. Over here, the Batman Part 2 was mentioned during Warner Brothers CinemaCon End of Presentation Slate Rundown. There you go. There you go. All right, so it sounds like it might be done. I'll wait a couple more minutes here to see if there's any more updates here regarding the, you know, if they say, like, you know, it's done. He isn't doing nothing new. Well, I disagree. Brainiac's new. Brainiac hasn't done any movies before. We haven't seen Lex Luthor and Superman team up before. Lex Luthor hasn't been in his suit before, you know, in any of these movies. Hawkgirl has not been in these movies, right? Mr. Terrific hasn't been in these movies. I mean, just the story itself of Superman being sent, his parents being sent here, his parents sending him here with the mission to breed and make Earth Krypton, like, that hasn't been done in the movies before. Guy Gardner hasn't been done in movies before. You know? There's only been one Supergirl movie ever, in what, the 80s. Clayface hasn't had a movie before. Obviously Peacemaker is totally new. You know, Lanterns is something new. Like, I just think that's incorrect. You can like or dislike it. Like, it's totally okay for you to dislike what he's doing. That's totally within your right. But I think it's just factually incorrect to say he's not doing anything new. And Zack Snyder was also doing something new, 100%. 100% he was doing something new. But doing something new does not automatically mean doing something good. And also, to your point as well, doing something comic accurate does not automatically mean doing something good either. When do you think we will see a Green Arrow in DCU, and will we be getting live-action Teen Titans? Yeah, I think we'll almost definitely be getting live-action Teen Titans. I hope it's more... I hope it's called Titans, not Teen Titans, because I would love for the film to be the classic team. Dick Grayson, Starfire, Cyborg... Or not classic team, but, iconic team. Dick Grayson, Cyborg, Starfire, Beast Boy, Raven, Wally, Donna. I would love it for that to be the team. So I want it to be called Titans, not Teen Titans, just so it's not restricted to just being teens. But I think we will be getting live-action Titans. And Green Arrow, when? When do I think Green Arrow? Not for a little bit. Not for a little bit, I don't think. Yeah, not for a little bit. I think the Flash for DC will be Wally West. I'm more familiar with Barry Allen version, but wouldn't mind a change. I would love for them both to be Flash at the same time. I would love for them both to be the Flash. I wouldn't mind if it's just Wally West as the main Flash, but I also just want Barry. I like Barry as a character as well. But I would love for them both to be the Flash. So it seems like that the panel is over. Minecraft 2 is titled a Minecraft sequel. So I see there's a couple more chats here. I will, stay here. We'll talk a little bit. I don't want to ignore anybody's chats. Let's go back to here. Yeah, but I will be doing a live stream on Thursday. That is already scheduled for the Disney panel. In case there's any big Marvel stuff, any big Doomsday stuff there. Love to have you guys there if you're interested in that. But yeah, I'll still be here for a little bit chatting with you guys. I don't think Aaron Taylor Johnson will probably want to do another superhero movie after Quicksilver, Age of Ultron, and Kraven, and that's fair. That's totally fair. There's obviously other people that would make a great Aquaman that I'm just not thinking about off the top of my head, but he'd be totally justified in that. I think James Gunn should direct the Justice League film for sure. If not, then that's okay, but I think he'd be great for it. I agree. I think he would as well. Especially because I think there's a new cinematographer for Man of Tomorrow. So I think the vibe of Man of Tomorrow might be different from Superman, which means that, Justice League might not feel like a quote-unquote James Gunn film. Would there be a Roblox or Fortnite movie? I don't know. Where do you think Peacemaker will fall into the DCU? Will it be just on TV or treated like a Deadpool character? Ooh, there's a non-zero chance he shows up in Man of Tomorrow, depending on how much Salvation is a part of it. I think we know Salvation is definitely a part of the story of Man of Tomorrow in some way. So there's a non-zero chance he shows up there. I think he might be like the connective tissue, if that makes sense, with Salvation. So I think he'll probably show up in a movie here and there, at least. You think Miles would ever show up in the MCU? It depends on Sony. I think he should, but if Sony wants to continue to have their own Spider-Man universe outside of the MCU, then I think unfortunately, the easy likely candidate is just use Miles, which means he wouldn't be in the MCU, which would be unfortunate. I went to watch Superman when it was released. I was very excited for it, but I left with the same impression as everyone. They just thought it was bad. Well, you're generalizing. That is not true. No one left thinking OMG, so comic accurate. That's not true. I did. My friends did. A lot of people I talk to on these live streams do. I think you're projecting your own opinions on it to everyone else. And that's just not the case. And that's okay. Again, it's okay that you dislike it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong that I like it, and there's nothing wrong you dislike it. But that's just factually incorrect. I left thinking, oh my gosh, that was so comic accurate. I'm so happy. Like, literally, I rewatched it the other day. And when I was talking to my friend about it, I said, dude, I love that it is so unashamed to be a comic book movie. We need more of this. It means so much to me that this movie is not ashamed to be a comic book movie. So that's just not true. What happened to Tom Holland? Died in Avengers Doomsday? Then he'll be back. When will we get Avengers Doomsday teaser until the end of the last day of CinemaCon? No, we don't know. Taz missed. We don't know. Um, it's possible that the public gets a Doomsday trailer on Thursday. It's more likely that just the people in attendance get the trailer, and we have to wait until a different day to get the trailer. We don't know. So I did underachieve at the box office to what they expected. Well, it didn't. James Gunn has actually come out and said it did what they expected. It did more than they expected, and it did fine. It made a profit, and that's all that matters. Compared to Man of Steel, a lot of reasons. Man of Steel was the first Superman movie since Superman Returns. It was also in this sort of up-and-coming age of comic book movies with the MCU really, rising at that point, so people were really excited for comic book movies. Excuse me. Whereas with Superman last year, people are just not going to the movies as much as they used to before. Also, there is this kind of general feeling about comic book movies at the time that, like, oh, maybe we don't know, right? It also, people might still be a little iffy about Superman because of Man of Steel and BVS and Zack Snyder Justice League. All that combined, and Snyder fans probably didn't want to go see it because it's not Snyder or Henry Cavill. A lot of factors. Minecraft 2 memes about to be peak for real. Superman was such a comic book movie, it felt like a comic book, and not too many comic book movies can say that. Yeah, exactly. They have a whole sequence of Superman holding up a super baby outside of a anti-proton river or something like that, like from a black hole. Yeah, that's just comic book. You think if Gunn cut the Snyder movies as an Elseworld universe when making the DCU, you think some fans wouldn't be so hard on him to say? No, they still would be. Because the fact is just anything that's not Snyder, they would be hard on, and it is what it is, Because then they'd just be upset that it's not the mainline versions. You think they make good money on DC or Marvel? Both, probably. What about rewatch value? That's, again, incredibly subjective. I have rewatched Superman 5 times. To me, it has incredible rewatch value. To others, it might not. And that's okay. It's incredibly subjective. By the I love your content, genuinely love, and also lots of love from India. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for your kind words. Warner Brothers expected James Gunn Superman to do better than it did. That's a fact. Warner Brothers are currently being bought by Paramount. Yes. Warner Brothers are being currently bought by Paramount. Warner Brothers and Paramount have also both said that James Gunn's Superman is a great success, and he would continue to make DC be the head of DC after the merger because they see that franchise as a success and a moneymaker going forward. I'm sure they'll film Secret Wars later this year. My guess, late spring to early summer is when they film, so hopefully this way it'll be worth it once Doomsday comes out. Yeah, the rumor is that they start filming in June, and that it'll probably go till the end of the year, with reshoots sometime next year. Okay. Just gonna wait a minute here. If there's anyone else wants to put in the chat to discuss? Oh. Hello, can you guys still hear me? My chat just crashed. You guys can still hear me. You still good? I think so. Okay, so my chat just crashed, so it's not going to appear on screen anymore. But I can definitely answer these last couple, or respond to these last couple chats. I apologize about that. What about his series people wasn't happy with Peacemaker Season 2? Again, that's just totally subjective. I love Peacemaker Season 2. It just comes down to taste. Peacemaker Season 1 was a lot more plot heavy than character heavy. There were still characters out there, but a lot plot heavy, more plot heavy than character heavy. Season 2 was so much more character focused and character driven than Season 1. So some people didn't like it for that reason. Some people also really blew up their expectations for Season 2 with cameos and whatnot, and then when that inevitably didn't happen, they were disappointed. And it's also just a taste thing. Like, I prefer more character-driven stories over plot-driven stories, so I love Season 2 more than I do Season 1. But you might like Season 1 more than Season 2, and that's also perfectly okay. Like, it's just all subjective, man. It's just all down to personal opinion, personal preference. And no one's right or wrong. That's the thing about art. No one's right or wrong. It's gonna hit everyone differently. Like, you know, it's a hot take. You know, this is a really hot take for me, right? I love both of these movies, but I like Wreck-It Ralph 2. This is a crazy hot take, but it's an example. I like Wreck-It Ralph 2 more than Wreck-It Ralph 1. I love both movies, but Wreck-It Ralph 2, for most people, is not great. A lot of people were let down by it and don't like it nearly as much as the first movie. However, the story itself and the ending, whatever, it all hit me emotionally in a way that the first one didn't, or more than the first one did, I should say, because the first one still hit me emotionally, and I connected with it emotionally, but I connected emotionally more with the second one than I did with the first one. So I enjoyed the second movie more than the first one, and that's okay, right? That's art. That's how it works, you know? No one's gonna have the same experience. No two people have the same experience with the same movie or show or book or song, you know, or anything, right? Everyone's gonna like it more or less than the other. Everyone's going to respond to it more or less than the other. That's just how it works, and that's okay. That's how it should be. And as long as people are respectful of each other's opinions and gonna have that civil debate about it and say, look, I see that you don't like this and I do. That's just how it is. Let's have a discussion about it, or that's just how it is. Like, that's fine. Or I can see that, you know, you love this movie. I don't. Like, I love that you love it. It's not for me, but I love that you love it. And that's just how it is. People these days, again, this is a general people, not anyone specifically, but people these days are so quick to be negative about stuff when in reality there's no real reason to be, right? At the end of the day, like, what's so wrong about someone liking something or not liking something, right? Like you saying that you like Man of Steel more than Superman. I disagree, but I'm glad that you get that enjoyment out of Man of Steel. And I'm sorry you don't get that same enjoyment out of Superman. You know? That's just, but that's how it is, and I respect your opinion 100%. I enjoy the OG Ralph more. Yeah, most people do, and that's totally okay. That's totally okay. It's funny what James Gunn did with Peacemaker in Season 2, retconning the ending of Season 1. I wonder if anything else happened like that. Over time, probably. I mean, with these massive franchises, it's only natural that eventually you'll have to retcon some things here and there. What do you think will we get to see RDJ in post-credit or end-credit scene in Brand New Day, or still will we only see a masked man as we see in Fantastic Four First Steps? I don't know, honestly. I don't know what the post-credit scene of Brand New Day could be. Honestly, it could just be like the look at an incursion or something. Maybe not even Doom related necessarily. Box office and analytics prove Man of Steel did better than Guns by rewatch value compared to people going back to watch Gun Superman because the majority go to the movies to watch a movie, not a comic book. Well, you're also ignoring the fact that James Gunn's Superman came out a few weeks before Fantastic Four. So if people wanted to go see a movie twice, go to the movie theater twice, they probably went to see Superman and then Fantastic Four instead of just seeing Superman twice. And also, you're ignoring the fact that movie theater tickets have gone up. Less people are going to the movies these days. It's getting too expensive for people, especially families, to go. You know, like a family of 4, it costs $100 to go see a movie at some places, depending on the time. You know, like, that's crazy. There's so many other factors, man. But also, box office doesn't mean a movie's good or bad, because there's no real such. There are examples of this, obviously, but like, for the most part, there's no good or bad movie, objectively speaking. That's not how art works. Yes, the Warner Brothers panel from CinemaCon is over. Nothing too big was really announced here in terms of DC-related stuff. The Disney panel is on Thursday, where we might get some Marvel stuff. We'll see. Any ideas where RDJ Doom originates from? Probably just the Fantastic Four universe. I'd be surprised if it wasn't that universe. The box office are numbers of the people who bought tickets and rebought them. Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, that is a fact. Yes, that is true. But there's no. I don't know what the point is there. Art is subjective. Like, I don't know how else to explain that. A movie doing bad or doing good at the box office is not an indicator if the movie is bad or good. You know what didn't do well at the box office? Thunderbolts. That movie's phenomenal. You know what did great at the box office? Venom. I do not like that movie at all. You know what did great at the box office? Aquaman. It's not a great movie. Box office is not an indicator if a movie is objectively good or bad. There is no objectively good or bad movie. Or show. Or any piece of art. You know, again, that's hyperbole. There obviously are. You know, The Room. All right. Madam Web. Come on. Yeah, like, obviously I know there are, but more times than not, like 9 times out of 10, there's no real objective opinion on these things. It's just, you know, it's going to hit everybody differently. I guess it's safe to say people are either Snyder guys or gun guys. No, and that's the issue. That's the thing. You don't have to be either Snyder or gun. If you are, if you happen to be, that's okay, right? Like, look, and I want to make this clear too. At the end of the day, as movies, I like Man of Steel and I like BVS. Nowhere near as much as I did when they first came out. But when I rewatched them, at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I still liked that movie. I just was upset at a lot of the characterization. But overall, I still enjoyed the movie. I wasn't bored, right? But you don't have to be one or the other. You're not forced into that. If you are, you are, but you don't have to be. I was trying to find the Mortal Kombat 2 clip, but it's not shown on the new Evil Dead film trailer. Yeah, so most of the footage, Martin, from these convention panels aren't released to the public. They're just shown to people in attendance. So those pieces of footage likely won't be released to the public. No, brother, I think it's the first time when one of the biggest budget movies of India, the Ramayana, has took place in CinemaCon. Really? That's cool. That's cool. So when Gunn's Batman finally comes out and it's comic accurate but a bad movie, will you say it's still better than Dark Knight or Reeves? Dude, like, that's not a question. The Gunn, first off, it's not Gunn's Batman, right? Gunn's not making Batman. And if he does, then he does. But like right now, he's not making Batman. 2, that movie's not out yet. So we don't know if it's comic accurate, and we don't know if it'll be bad. 3, if it's comic accurate, but it's bad, then it's just bad. So no, I'm not going to say it's better than Dark Knight or Reeves. I don't know how else to explain this to you, man. 100% agree. I'm just a superhero fan. We are really so lucky to be alive during the time of this. Yeah, genuinely. Did I see right that they're making a Hellblazer movie? See, you're not the first person to come in here and say that. I looked it up. I can't find anything anywhere about it. Yeah, like I'm going on the DCU subreddits and there's no anything here about Hellblazer. And then I also went to the just like the straight movie subreddit, and there's nothing there about Hellraiser either. So I'm not sure where people are saying, or you know, where this is coming from. I don't see it anywhere. I know that I'm trying to find their official accounts that they upload, but not This Sucks. I wish they'll do a live stream like E3 and PlayStation Showcase. Yeah, those were the days, man. Those were the days. So now I use that logic. Superman is what I'm saying. Man of Steel is not comic accurate, but Guns is. But what's the better movie? Guns. Because, you see, all you're hearing, man, is comic accurate equals good, not comic accurate equals bad. And that's not true. That's not true. I think you missed when I said that Joker, I think, is a good movie and a well-acted movie. I don't like it because it's not comic accurate. I did say it's a good movie, though. I don't think you heard that. I don't think you heard that I said I like Man of Steel and BVS. I am upset at the fact that it just fundamentally changes the characters. Gunn's movie is a good movie because it is written well, acted well, and it is also a comic accurate Superman. It's all of those combined. It's none of any of the things. It's not one of anything. It's all of it combined. It's why I like it more than Man of Steel. And I don't know why you're getting so defensive about it. Again, it's okay that we disagree, man. It's okay that we disagree. Rockstars read a tweet on Hellboy movie and they never mentioned it again. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't watch them anymore. I hope Adria Arjona's performance will be a redemption after the horrible Morbius. Well, I think she already has a redemption. I know you're saying in the comic book universe, but I don't know if you watch Andor, man. Watch Andor. Fantastic show. After Isabel Merced got redemption for Last of Us from Superman and The Last of Us after being another hated film, Madam Web. Yeah, I haven't seen Madam Web. Great Lakes Avengers movie could be comic accurate, does not mean it would be good. Not getting offensive, trying to understand the content. Fair enough. I apologize. It came off a little defensive. I must have read it wrong. I apologize, HM. Yeah, I don't know. I apologize, man. I don't know how else I can explain it. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like I said, I think Man of Steel is not a poorly written film. It's not a poorly directed or poorly shot film or poorly acted film. Like, it's a good film. I do enjoy it, but I'm going to a Man of Steel to see Superman, right? So if that final part's not there, if the final part's not there, if he doesn't feel like Superman to me when I'm going to see a Superman movie to watch Superman, or a Superman project to just watch Superman, then my opinion on it's going to be lesser than the other movie that I think is also well written, also well acted, also well directed, and also he feels like Superman. So it has that one up over the other one. Does that make sense? Like, Matt Reeves' Batman. I think Nolan's trilogy and Matt Reeves' The Batman are both well written. They're both well directed. They're both well shot. They're both well performed. They both have an amazing score. So what's the difference? The main difference is that Matt Reeves' Batman feels more comic accurate than the Dark Knight trilogy. So, if I'm putting two and two together, I like the Batman more. And there's other nuances to it, of course, because again, it's art. There's other nuances. You know, the style of Batman I just appreciate more. It affected me more emotionally than the Dark Knight trilogy did. That has nothing to do with it being more comic accurate. But if we're just looking at it on paper and we're listing a pros and cons list of these movies, right? Compare and contrast the Venn diagram, right? If the Dark Knight trilogy and the Matt Reeves Batman movie, if they're like equal in everything else, in writing and directing and acting and cinematography, and the only thing left is which one feels more comic accurate, then I'm going to rate the Batman over the Dark Knight trilogy. But that doesn't mean the Dark Knight trilogy is bad. That doesn't mean I dislike the Dark Knight trilogy. That's not what that means at all. Does that make sense? Was that a better way of explaining it? But I'm really so much obsessed with Marvel, even I can't explain how much I obsess, so I think the concept we see in the MCU there, possibly in real life, not in present, but in future, what do you say? I'm not fully sure what you're saying, Tech is. I apologize. So I think when the new DCU Batman comes out, you may say the same compared to other Batmans. I hope I do. I genuinely hope I do. And you're not wrong. Like, I partly expect to. Because my whole life, I've wanted to see a fantastical comic accurate Batman in live action. You know, like, I grew up on the Arkham games, right? I grew up with Batman fighting Clayface. I grew up with Batman with Joker being, you know, more than just a criminal mob boss that he is in Dark Knight. He's still great in that, right? But he's more than just that, you know? I grew up with the big toxin Bane with poison ivy that controls plants, you know? So when I think of Batman, that's what I think of. So that's what I want to see. But when I see the Dark Knight trilogy, and it doesn't have that, but it still feels like Batman, they're still great movies. When I go to the Batman, and it doesn't have all that, I still enjoy it because it still feels like Batman. But there's still part of me that still wishes and wants to see that more fantastical Batman. So when we hopefully get that in the DCU, combined with still good writing and good directing, and the Bat family, which is something that, like, literally my favorite characters are Red Hood and Nightwing, and Aquaman, you know, but then I hope that I'm saying this again about the DCU Batman. I hope I am. And based on the fact that they're not rushing into making a Batman movie, they're making sure it's as good as it can be and should be, part of me expects it to be. Now, am I expecting it to be on a pure filmmaking standpoint better than the Batman? No, I'm not. but that's okay. It doesn't have to be. And here's the thing too when it comes to art. Something can be technically better than something else, but the thing that's technically not as good can still be liked more. I'll give an example that might not have made sense. Technically speaking, from a filmmaking standpoint, Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie. However, my favorite Star Wars movie is Revenge of the Sith. My second favorite Star Wars movie is Return of the Jedi, right? Two movies that technically, filmmaking-wise, are not as good as Empire Strikes Back. But I like those two movies more. Because they just hit me in a way that's better than Empire Strikes Back. It's not really something you could pinpoint and explain necessarily. You know? And it'll likely be the same thing here, where, you know, I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope that the writing and directing and everything of the DCU Batman is better than the Matt Reeves Batman. I'm not expecting it, though, and that's okay. Because I think because I think it'll still be really good, writing-wise. And I think just seeing that fantastical Batman with the Bat family, my favorite characters, it's going to elevate it for me, personally. It might not for you, and that's also okay. She was great in Andor. Her performance in Season 2 is what got me, though that's why she's my top choice for Wonder Woman DCU. Yeah, me too. What's up, Elijah Martin? Nice to have you. Thanks for tuning in. I just think Gunn is giving good writing to you. I think you mean not giving writing. I just think Gunn is not giving good writing, though. Good writing to you, Nolan Reeves, and that's okay. Gunn is just serving comic accuracy. Like, I disagree. I think he's serving comic accuracy and good writing, but we just disagree, and that's okay. And that's honestly that's where it ends. You know, like you can't debate emotions, right? We both experienced the same piece of writing with Superman, and what you were looking for in it didn't match. It didn't match up to what you were looking for in it, so you didn't really like it. For what I was looking for in it, it did live up to that, so it hit me in a different way. And that's just how it is, you know? Does that make sense? I hope they have Poison Ivy in the DCU, because I was disappointed that she never got to appear in the DCEU. Don't know who will play her, though, but whoever gets her, I hope she does well. I agree. I would love to see the Poison Ivy Harley romance in the DCU. I think that'd be just really fun. And a great way to have Harley do something new in live action. I know that she did that in, you know, the Harley Quinn animated show, but I'm kind of tired of Harley, to be honest, but having her with Poison Ivy, I think could be really fun. All right, I'll just wait another minute or two here to see if there's anything else you guys would like to mention here at the end of this stream. Remember, there is a bit of delay on the stream, so it might take a second for, you know, when your message comes for me to respond to it. Leprechaun, by the way, thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, guys, I apologize if there wasn't too much big news here. I typically don't do live streams for CinemaCon because typically there's never really any big news or announcements or trailers at this convention. And I typically don't like to do live streams for the big conventions because I don't want to get people's hopes up for these big news, whatever. But I did it today because just in case the Clayface trailer dropped, and because I plan to hopefully start uploading videos again within the next couple months. That's not a definite, you know. I said that a lot over the years and it hasn't happened, but I hope to. So I want to try to get some momentum going on this channel in the lead up and build up to those videos. Yeah. I hope they give Harley her black and red look again, like in the Suicide Squad. Me too. I think that's a great look for her. Man of Steel 2 announced. I don't think it has been. I think I would have liked Man of Steel 2 more, though, than Man of Steel. because it seemed like the direction that the long-term plan that Snyder had was to end end it with Man of Steel 2 and Superman being more hopeful and optimistic and Superman-like. So I probably would have liked Man of Steel 2 a lot more than Man of Steel. All right, guys, I think that'll be it for today's stream. Thank you guys for everybody who tuned in, who chatted in the discussion. I really do appreciate it. Everyone who subscribed, I really appreciate it. So on Thursday after the stream, it'll redirect you right to the scheduled stream for Thursday. If you want to set your reminder, I am going to be doing a live stream on Thursday for the Disney panel at CinemaCon, just in case there's anything Marvel related and anything big with Doomsday or whatnot. I don't expect anything big. I don't expect any trailers to the public. Just want to make that clear now. But if you guys still want to tune into that, hang out, maybe see if something happens or not, then yeah, maybe I'll see you on Thursday. If not, hope you guys have a great week. Have a great day. Again, thank you everybody who tuned in. I really appreciate the discussion, genuinely. Like, you guys being here, chatting, having the debates, having the discussions, it really makes these streams what they are, and I really do enjoy it. So whether we disagree or not, it's still overall enjoyable because we're just being civil about it. We're all fans at the end of the day, right? And the best part of the fandom is just the interaction, and even though we disagree, having that interaction is still fun and interesting. So thank you again, everybody tuned in. I really do appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you next time, and remember to be punk rock.